Ace and Eva were making their way toward the city herbs and weapons shop. After a few turns through the bustling streets, they finally stopped in front of a tall, 10-story building. A large signboard hung over the entrance with the words City Herbs and Weapons Shop carved into it. This place belonged directly to the city lord's family, the Kaysen family. Just before they went inside, Ace noticed a familiar, luxurious carriage parked at the entrance. It was the same carriage he'd seen outside the city yesterday, the one that had helped him, and Eva slipped past the guards unnoticed. Eva recognized it too. Her expression darkened slightly. "Should we leave and come back another time?" she asked in a low voice. She had no interest in attracting the attention of people who rode in that kind of carriage. Ace glanced toward the shop's entrance. From a distance, he could see that the place was almost empty. Only a few guards and attendants were inside. Is it because of whoever owns that carriage? He was about to agree with Eva and turn back when the shop doors opened. A beautiful young woman with blonde hair stepped out, dressed in a luxurious gown. Several maids followed closely behind her. She didn't spare the surroundings a single glance and simply walked into the carriage with practiced indifference. As soon as she got in, the guards formed two orderly lines beside the carriage, escorting it as it rolled away toward the edge of the market. "She's not simple," Ace muttered. With his senses, he could clearly feel her cultivation. She was already at the early stage of the Chi Foundation building realm. This realm had 4 stages: early, mid, high, and peak. That girl was around Eva's age, maybe a bit older, yet she had already stepped into Chi Foundation. That alone spoke volumes. Eva, who lacked Ace's true and false eyes and his soul sense, couldn't feel any of that. So when she heard his comment, she misunderstood completely and assumed he was talking about the girl's looks. For some reason, her mood soured. She snorted and puffed her cheeks slightly. "Humph. Seen enough? Let's go to the shop already." She didn't give him any chance to answer and marched straight toward the entrance. Ace blinked, confused by her sudden attitude. What's with her now? The carriage vanished down the street, and with it gone, customers began entering and leaving the shop again. Inside, the first floor was spacious and bright. Ace and Eva headed directly to the counter, where an old man was seated. Seeing the 2 young faces, the old man smiled kindly, like a senior dealing with juniors. "How can I help you?" he asked. Before Ace could say a word, Eva cut in with a blunt tone. "Do you sell storage bags and soft armor for women here?" Ace could tell she was still in a bad mood and decided to let her vent a bit. The old man wasn't offended. He glanced at her attitude, then shifted his gaze to Ace and gave him a knowing smile, as if he understood all too well. "Yes, we have what you're looking for, especially storage bags. Our shop is the only one in the entire city that sells them. You can head to the 5th floor, but first you must show proof of 1 million ruby coins. That's the rule." Ace was slightly surprised. 1 million ruby coins was a huge sum in Riverflower City, and that was just the entry requirement for the upper floors. He couldn't help but compare. Even the Kelby family treasury had only yielded him 5 million ruby coins, and much of Ryland's wealth had come from being backed by a kingdom-level expert. Eva didn't respond. She just turned and stared at Ace with eyes full of barely contained irritation. He sighed inwardly and, without wasting time, pulled a yellow crystal card from his pocket. The number 1 million and the ruby coin symbol were engraved on it. It was a ruby crystal card, used to carry large amounts of money. The old man's smile widened when he saw it. He said nothing more, just winked at a nearby attendant. The young woman stepped forward at once. "Honored customers, please follow me," she said politely. Ace and Eva followed her to the upper floors and soon arrived on the 5th floor. The 5th floor was far more extravagant than the first. Rows of shelves lined the hall, each sealed behind glass, displaying gleaming weapons, armor, and bottles of pills. The atmosphere was quiet and heavy with the scent of herbs and metal. Eva's annoyance instantly melted away the moment she saw the armors. Her eyes lit up like a child in a candy shop. For a heartbeat, she had the urge to steal every piece on display, but she quickly pushed the thought aside. "We only steal from bad people," she reminded herself. Ace, on the other hand, wasn't particularly impressed. He had already seen treasures from kingdom-level forces. Most of the equipment here was only one-star weapons and white-grade pills. Behind the counter sat an old lady. She was the floor master, and Ace could sense that her cultivation was at the peak of Chi Gate's realm. She glanced at them once and spoke in a flat, emotionless voice. "What do you need?" She clearly didn't care to chat. To her, only truly important guests were worth any warmth, and Ace obviously didn't qualify. Ace didn't take it personally. He was here to buy things, not respect. Eva, however, was not so forgiving. "Is this how your shop always greets its customers?" she asked coldly. The old woman didn't even blink. "If you're here to waste my time, you may leave," she replied with open disdain. "You." Eva was about to explode, but Ace placed a firm hand on her shoulder, stopping her. He gave her a small shake of his head, then turned to the old lady with a pleasant smile. "We'd like to buy 2 storage bags and a 1-star soft armor for my sister." The old lady ignored Eva completely now. She turned to the attendant. "Bring the storage bags he wants." The girl who had led them up nodded quickly and hurried off. She knew exactly how rude this old woman could be, and no one dared complain, because the old lady was a member of the Kaysen family. "You can choose any armor from this floor," the old woman said to Ace. Ace didn't argue. He just gave Eva a meaningful look. She took a deep breath, shot the old lady a fierce glare, then turned away to focus on the armor displays. She and Ace began searching together. There were many designs, but most were too flashy or impractical. In the end, she chose a full-body, black soft armor for women, simple and functional. Ace browsed lazily, still not very interested. He had better armors sitting in his storage, but they were all heavy types, unsuitable for him or Eva since their fighting styles focused on speed. He'd already decided to sell those heavy armors for cheese stones when he reached a kingdom. He had more than enough ruby coins for now. He was just about to look away from the racks when something caught his eye, a black hood with dark blue patterns woven into its fabric, hanging among the armors. His eyes lit up. "I want that black hood as well," he said to the old lady. Sometime later, the attendant returned, holding 2 small green storage bags. She handed them to the old lady instead of giving them directly to Ace, then took the black soft armor and the hood from the display and placed them neatly on the counter. "Anything else?" the old lady asked, her tone as flat as ever. "No," Eva snapped before Ace could answer, her annoyance still simmering. 2 storage bags and 2 1-star soft armors. 1,000,000 ruby coins, the old lady said calmly, quoting the total price in one breath. Ace raised an eyebrow. The price wasn't a problem for him, but her attitude was starting to grate on his nerves. His gaze drifted to her waist, where he noticed a black storage bag hanging from her belt. A small, wicked idea surfaced in his mind. "This is your 1,000,000, Ace said, handing over the crystal card. He took the bags and armor without giving Eva a chance to say anything and immediately grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the stairs. Once they were out of the shop, Eva finally exploded. "Why didn't you let me teach that old hag a lesson?" She was confident in her abilities. In her mind, they could have fought that woman and escaped easily afterward. The fact that Ace had stopped her made her furious. "Here, take this, and try not to attract any more attention," Ace said, ignoring her anger as he handed her a black storage bag. Eva blinked. "Didn't we buy green storage bags?" she asked, confused. "Hee. Would you believe me if I said this bag belongs to that old hag?" Ace laughed as he handed it over. "Seriously?" Eva quickly opened the bag and looked inside. Her eyes widened. There were 4,000,000 ruby coins and crystal cards, several sets of women's clothing, some personal items, and a 1-star whip. Since 1-star weapons couldn't store chi themselves and only worked when chi was supplied from the user, they could be placed inside storage bags without issue. "How did you do that?" she breathed in shock. "That's a trade secret," Ace replied with a shrug and a casual smile. He had used his soul thread and pickpocket skill to quietly rob the old woman. With his heavenly sense, now reaching a range of 30 meters, stealing from someone like her was easy. He hadn't gained any thief points since he'd only taken money and a single weapon, so he decided to give everything to Eva and free himself from acting as her walking bank. Eva instantly brightened. Her anger vanished, replaced by pure joy as she started organizing her things into the new storage bag. Sometime later, Ace began to regret his decision. With her newfound wealth, Eva happily dragged him through the entire market for the rest of the evening, buying anything that caught her eye. Neither of them realized that, without knowing it, Ace had just robbed the city lord's sister. And in doing so, he had attracted the attention of someone they really shouldn't have. After Ace and Eva left, chaos erupted inside the city herbs and weapons shop. Someone had stolen the storage bag of Sheila Kaysen, the city lord's sister, and the main suspects were two teenagers. Sheila was furious. She loudly declared that her storage bag contained millions of ruby coins and a peak one-star weapon she cherished deeply. That day, only 2 people had gone up to her floor, so naturally, her suspicion fell entirely on Ace and Eva. Many people secretly scoffed at her claim. Sheila was a peak Chi Gates realm expert, and by her own account, she hadn't sensed even a trace of Chi from either of those kids. How could a pair of ordinary teenagers steal from her right under her nose? Still, no one dared to openly mock her. This matter involved the Kaysen family, and in Red Mountain City, few had the courage to cross them. Even so, the story spread quickly. It wasn't every day someone robbed the city lord's sister in her own shop. Sheila, arrogant by nature, had never suffered this kind of humiliation on her own turf. The most unbearable part was that she'd been played by 2 brats. At first, she didn't want to report the incident at all. The shame was too much. But in the end, her rage outweighed her pride. She couldn't stand the thought of those 2 little thieves walking around freely. She knew people were laughing at her behind her back, but she had no one to blame but herself. So, in her anger, she even decided to use her brother's authority. She ordered wanted posters to be made, with portraits of Ace and Eva, and prepared to issue an official arrest warrant. The problem was she hadn't paid much attention to their faces. To her, they'd just been unimportant nobodies. So the portraits were based entirely on the description of a single attendant. This theft didn't just attract the attention of ordinary citizens. It also caught the eye of a Chief Foundation realm expert. It wasn't the city lord himself, since he was away on an errand. Instead, it was that same beautiful blonde girl Ace had seen earlier that morning. In a luxurious courtyard inside the Kaysen family estate, the blonde girl sat with several sheets of paper in her jade-like hands. In her left hand were the wanted posters prepared by the city lord's mansion. On them were the faces of Ace and Eva. In her right hand was another wanted poster, one already known across the region. On this one, Ace's face appeared again, but the girl beside him was different. Instead of Eva's face, there was a portrait of a girl wearing a black fox mask. The blonde girl's eyes glittered like stars as she compared the two. "Are you sure this boy showed up right after we left that shop?" she asked the maid kneeling before her. "Yes, Princess Dulce." According to the information from the Kaysen family, the timing matches perfectly, the maid replied respectfully. Dulce smiled, but the smile was anything but gentle. "I can't believe the famous Thousand Hands ghost of Riverflower City has been here all along. And he's bold enough not to even change his appearance, robbing the city lord Quentin's sister in their own shop in broad daylight. And there I was, searching for him in that barren little city." Her laughter rang out, bright yet sinister. In that moment, her beautiful face twisted into something far more terrifying. Even a maid began to tremble. "Go bring those slaves here," Dulce ordered casually, "and tell that old hag she's not allowed to post these wanted posters without my permission. We don't want our prey getting spooked too early, do we?" The maid didn't dare hesitate and quickly rushed out to carry out her orders. "I really want to see your face when you receive the gift I've prepared for you, Thousand Hands Ghost," Dulce whispered to herself, her eyes darkening. "This will teach you not to be so arrogant. Not that you'll live long enough to learn from it." That night, a witch-like laughter echoed through the Kaysen family courtyard. Meanwhile, Ace and Eva were completely unaware that Dulce had already locked onto their identities. They remained relaxed. As far as they were concerned, they had only robbed a rude shopkeeper. To them, it wasn't a serious matter at all. Even if something did go wrong, they believed they could always escape using their strange skills. Ace was still just a 12-and-a-half-year-old boy. He didn't yet understand how dangerous the poison of constant success could be. When victory comes again and again, it breeds something deadly in the heart: arrogance. If one wasn't careful, it could blind even the sharpest predator. A snake thinks itself invincible because of its venom, believing nothing in the land can threaten it. But when an eagle dives suddenly from the sky, that same snake becomes just another meal. Ace believed no one from Riverflower City would be able to track him to Red Mountain City this fast. In his mind, by the time news of his actions spread, he'd already be long gone. But reality had changed without his knowing. The blonde girl he had seen only once had already found out who he was. Dulce had quietly halted Sheila's wanted posters. Now, only rumors spread through the city, and no one knew exactly what the two teenagers looked like. Even if Ace heard the gossip, he wouldn't have taken it seriously. The enemy was hidden in the dark. He was standing in the open. By the time Ace and Eva returned to their inn, it was already dinner time. Black clouds were gathering overhead, and the wind howled outside. "Looks like it's going to be a stormy night," Ace said as he ate with Eva. "Yes. My mother used to say that whenever a storm comes, something bad happens somewhere," Eva replied, frowning as she stared out the window at the dark sky. The mention of her mother brought a shadow of sorrow to her eyes. Ace didn't want her sinking into sad memories. "Well, those shops you emptied today are definitely going to have a bad night," he joked. Even he was a bit scared of going shopping with her now. "Humph. It's her fault for having so little in stock," Eva snorted. "I still wanted to buy more, but both my storage bags got full. Sigh. We should have bought 2 or 3 more bags," she continued regretfully. "But now that we robbed that old hag, we can't go back. She's probably going crazy over a missing bag right about now. I wish I could see her face." Cold sweat ran down Ace's back when she casually said she wanted to buy more. She had already filled 2 storage bags with clothes and other girly things. He'd even given her the extra bag he took. She'd also bought things for him and stuffed his storage bag, which was now nearly full. Each bag had 5 cubic meters of space, and she'd managed to fill that in half a day. According to the system, these were trash-grade storage bags, able to maintain their internal space for only 10 years. But right now, the problem wasn't their grade, it was their owner. "I should pretend to be sick tomorrow," Ace decided silently. He had no intention of being used as her shopping partner again. After dinner, they each went back to their rooms. Ace let out a long sigh of relief, feeling as if he'd finally escaped Eva's evil clutches for the day. He sat on his bedding and took out some new and old books from his thief storage space, then began reading. Among them were the books he had gotten from the anxious aunt earlier that day. A small, genuine smile crossed his face. "I wonder if her anxiety was also because of money," he thought. "I hope those ruby coins I left for her helped solve her problem. I'll visit her before I leave the city." His soul sense had allowed him to feel the woman's worry earlier, which was why he'd secretly left all those ruby coins behind. Clearing his mind, he focused on the books about the lands of cities, the level 4 lands of the Azure Wind continent, and other general knowledge about the continent. "So, the place we humans live is called the Azure Wind continent," Ace muttered as he read, "and it's divided into 4 levels of lands: Royal, Empire, Kingdom, and City, plus the Wasteland." He'd already learned a bit about level 4 lands and heard some things about kingdoms from Eva, but he'd never known the proper names or structure of the entire continent. Back when he worked as a dishwasher, he had often heard the restaurant owner talk about the Devil, Hunter, and Blood continents. That man loved collecting stories about the top 3 races of the world. Now, those scattered stories were finally starting to connect into a bigger picture.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
Why isn't it mentioned any cultivation level above the QI River realm? It seems they wanted to hide this information from all others people of the land of cities. He became confused reading all the books and concluded, Ace knows about all the realms because of the system. Now he knows some common sense about this world. They didn't even allow to let anyone from the wastelands in the cities. They called all those wastelands people sinners. But why? What they have done to get treatment like this? This was his first time reading about it. But even in the books, it didn't mention the reason for why all those people called the sinner. It was as if all the information was erased or no one wanted to write about it. If a city-level power wanted to go to the kingdom-level lands, they need a kingdom-level power to accept them as a country of their kingdom, and that city has to be able to command a minimum of 10 one-star cities. Even after that, they have to pass a special test of the kingdom. It's only mentioned about this, not the test itself. But these old books hold quite some information. Even these new books didn't have this kind of detailed information. I guess it was my luck to stop at that Ani stall. He became fascinated by all this new information that he reads in those books. The current strongest city of the entire lands of cities are the New Moon City, and it is quite far from here. Anita travels for 6 months on foot to reach there, and according to this map, that forest we crossed is called the Moon Forest. We have to cross it again, and this time go into the deeper parts to reach the New Moon City. Well, I guess we need to leave this city after this month. It will take only 2 of us almost a year to cross the Moon Forest if we didn't want to get into trouble with the demonic beast. But this is also good. I can gain experience points while in the wilderness and build the heavenly foundation before reaching the city. Ace mused while making his plans. System, convert all the pills in my thief storage space into EXP. Ace transmitted his excited voice in his mind. He needs only a little EXP for opening the 5th gate of the heavenly gates. He bought 2 million worth of white rank pills from the market today, and now he was ready to open his final gate of the Chi gates. After that, he would only need to gather enough EXP to build the heavenly foundation. That's why he was excited after seeing he would go to the wildness very soon. System has converted all the pills into 6,000 EXP. Congratulations, host, on opening the 5th gate of Heavenly Gate. Host status has been updated. EXP 470/20,000 Ace didn't hear the system's voice because the heavenly chi was surging like a tide wave inside his body. He closed his eyes and started to recite the Heaven Stealer technique. In the territory of Kaysen family, inside the courtyard of Dulce. Behind Dulce were standing 2 middle-aged men and 1 old man. Their heads were down. It was clear that they were in a lower position than Dulce. One of the middle-aged men has thick eyebrows, and the other was bald. They both were Dulce bodyguards. The old man has long silver hair. He was the city lord of the Red Mountain City, Quentin Kaysen. There was 4 figures kneeling in front of Dulce. They were wearing tattered clothes, and there were wounds all over their bodies. It seems they were being tortured before coming here. If Ace were here, he would be shocked to see 2 of these 4 persons because they were Asher Kelby and Ryland Grant. Yes, they were Asher and Ryland, both grandson and grandfather, in an extremely sorry state. Beside them were another man, Samien Kelby, and last of them was the former city lord of the River Flower City, Matthews Layton. All the heads of the top 3 families of the River Flower City were here, but they were not looking like grand and dignified figures at all. Their conditions were grave, especially Ryland's and Asher's. It's all happened 15 days ago, when Asher was in Red Mountain searching for Ace like a mad dog. He was the best talent in the entire city, and someone has humiliated him for the first time in his life. How could he give up so easily? Even if this was 1-star city, he didn't put anyone in his eyes, especially someone young. Just like another day, Asher starts to search for Ace, and coincidentally, he bumps into Dulce that day. Dulce was just strolling around the city without her carriage. She was very grateful to begin with, and when Asher saw her appearance, he was instantly attracted by her beauty. He never sees anyone as beautiful as her in the entire River Flower City. But if he ever knows that black fox that was always beside him was like a celestial fairy in front of Dulce, he would directly curse Ryland, his own grandfather, for ruining such a beauty. But he saw Dulce first and lost his calm. He didn't even see all those guards with her and directly asked her like a gentleman, Miss, I would like to know if you fancy a meal with this little one. Dulce thought that it was quite amusing to see someone even dare to hit on her in this barren place. She signaled her guards who were about to attack him to stop and said with a smile, "Of course I'll love to, but only if you can beat one of my personal guards." Asher saw disdain in Dulce's eyes and think that she was looking down on him. In his eyes, it was her honor to get him even asked like a gentleman. If it was his city, he would have directly taken her as a bed-warming maid. He said after suppressing his anger, "Ha ha, I'm afraid that I would kill Miss Guard accidentally. After all, I can't control my strength whenever I spar with someone." Dulce raised her eyebrow after hearing Asher's arrogant words. Even she didn't dare to say such a thing to an unknown person with all those guards around. Those two Chief Foundation building bodyguards now also wanted to torture him, seeing him talking like this to their princess. She said in a gentle tone, but there was a hint of anger in her voice, "Baldy, carefully break his legs and don't kill him accidentally. I want him to beg for forgiveness." Asher's handsome face turns red in fury after hearing her words. Those guards and his uncle that were sent here with him by Rylan also wanted to attack, but Asher raised his hand and said with a sinister smile, "Ha ha, it seems all the people of this city wanted to humiliate me one way or another." He immediately put Dulce on the same level as Ace in his most hated person list. It was still in the center of the streets when all this transparent. Quite the crowd was gathering together to see just what was happening. Some of them start to cheer for Asher to start the fight already. That Baldy attack, the moment Asher said those words and released his aura of Chief Foundation building realm. Asher's face instantly becomes disorderly and deathly pale after the pressure descends on him. He immediately felt that the pressure was 100 times more than his grandfather's. But now the arrow has already left the bow. A punch was coming straight toward his chest. If that punch from the Chief Foundation expert landed on him, he would be crippled for his lifetime. Asher quickly released his cultivation of Fourth Gate, and he used a mortal level skill. It was the skill of the Grant family. Since he was the most talented youth in the entire city, his grandfather wasn't stingy with him and let him learn the skill of the Grant family, even if he was from the Kelby family. Iron Hammered Fist. Asher shout, and his fists start to become solid like an iron hammered. This was the mortal level skill. But in front of a Chief Foundation building realm, he was just an ant. But his timely used skill at least saved him from being a cripple. Only his arm was broken. Baldy had a strange look in his eyes, and Dulce's aura began to raise after seeing the skill that Asher just used. Asher could feel that this girl that he was planning to kidnap was even stronger than that Baldy and become even paler. He was regretting being such a moron now. He finally understands why his grandfather warns him not to provoke anyone from the one-star city. But he was foolish and hit an iron wall this time. Asher was thinking about begging for forgiveness when he heard Dulce's voice filled with murderous intent. "Where did you—" Dulce was the fourth princess of the Golden Hammered Kingdom. She was in the lands of cities to observe the new Moon City promotion test and evaluate it. She was busy visiting the cities under the new Moon City to finalize if all the conditions have been met for the promotion test. New Moon City was under the territory of their kingdom, and if any city wants to become a country of their kingdom, it has to be strictly checked, because they want only strong countries. That's why the princess herself was here to check and observe everything personally. That's what everyone thinks at least. Red Mountain City was one of the cities under New Moon City and the last city that Dulce was checking. She deliberately chose this city for last, because she has another motive to come here. Before her goal would be complete, there were still some days remain. So, she was strolling around the city because she was bored. Unexpectedly, she bumps into an idiot, Asher, who doesn't want his life. First, she wanted to kill him, but after seeing his arrogance, she changes her plan and decided to torture him. But when she saw him using her kingdom mortal grade skill, it provokes her murderous intent. It was only a low-level skill, but it was still her kingdom's skill, so she wanted to find out where he learned that skill in this kind of barren place. If not for that thing here, she would have never come personally and witnessed her kingdom's skill. The crowd around them has become too big, so she takes Asher into custody. She used a green-ranked pill, Utter Truth Pill. This pill can even force the cultivators of Chi Foundation building realm to answer any question truthfully even if they didn't want to. Asher tells everything about the skill. After knowing where the true culprit was, she didn't delay and leave for Riverflower City to kill the entire Grant family for their capital crime. But when she enters the city, she heard about the stories of Thousand Hands Ghost and how he robbed both families on the same day. She becomes fascinated and curious about that little thief. She soon finds out that the thief has vanished after he robbed both families. They were still searching for him, and the entire city was on lockdown. Asher was also with her, and when he saw Ace in Black Fox's portrait and hear about what they has done to both of his families, his complex becomes extremely ugly. He immediately knew that Black Fox and Ace has tricked him into going out of the city. Now he finally understands why he can't find that little bastard even after searching for so many days because he wasn't there in the first place. I can't believe that they both tricked me so easily. Asher thought bitterly and grind his teeth in rage after thinking about how his most trusted aide has betrayed him for that boy who is also the reason for this disaster. Dulce ignored Asher, who is fuming with anger. She immediately enters the inner city. With her 2 bodyguards beside her, she was the most powerful person inside this city. She easily reached the Grant family, and Rylan, who was still searching for Ace high and low, was captured by her like a rat. She gave Rylan, who was beaten like a dog, the utter truth pill. After the pill takes effect, Rylan starts to tell the truth about how he killed an expert from a kingdom because of his greed and his storage ring. He even tells all the names of the techniques and skills that were inside the storage ring. Asher didn't believe what he heard. Even those Grant family elders who were laying on the ground after getting beaten has only one thought, and that was we're all dead. Dulce's complex turns ugly after she heard the truth because the expert Rylan killed was from her kingdom. She read some reports that some experts were once dispatched to kill a traitor, but they never come back alive. She didn't expect that one of them has meets his end in hands of this trash. You know what you have done, right? And the consequences of killing someone from my kingdom. You even practice the techniques and skills without permission from us. Now the storage ring is in the hand of a little thief, and all the skills and techniques are in his possession. I hereby declare that the Grant family execution and the entire Riverflower City will be razed to rubbles, and every living being inside the city will be killed without mercy. Capture the city lord and that Kelby family head as well. They could be used as slaves. After killing everyone, check every corner of the city. I want that so-called Thousand Hands Ghost alive. She gave her command in a dominating voice. This was the consequence of turning against the rules that were set by the people in power. No one can break them if one didn't have the power. Rylan thinks that since it was in a 2-star city, no one would ever come here, and carefully controls the skill that he shows in public. He just wanted to reinforce his family's power with that mortal grade skill. When the time comes to fight for the position of the city lord, they would be his greatest asset. He didn't even tell the skill name to anyone. He only let his most trusted subordinates learn it. But he never would have imagined that a little boy would steal his ring under his nose. The funniest thing was it was not the boy who alerted the kingdom, but the culprit was his own grandson, who was apple of his eye. Even if he has that ring, he would still get caught by this young girl because of his idiot grandson. After Dulce gives her order, the massacre of the entire Riverflower City begun. Underscore Arthur. Present day. Inside Dulce Courtyard. Gentlemen from the Riverflower City. Oh, I should be called a former Riverflower City now. Well, whatever. Look at this young handsome boy portrait. It was just made today. Dulce giggles as she showed them Ace's portrait. All 4 of their heads were low, and their eyes were listless. They didn't have the energy to even blink their eyes. The 4 guards were standing behind them, grabbed their hair and straight their heads so they can see the portrait. They all grunt in pain when their heads were moved. The first reaction of all 4 of them when they see Ace's face was not much. But after some time, they start to think that the face was looking extremely familiar, especially Asher, Sumyin, and Rylan. They finally remembered this face because this was the face they see countless times in their nightmares, and it was all because of this face that they were in this kind of situation. They all think of torture the owner of this face millions of times and drink his blood. Kylon was the first one to react, and there was extreme hatred, grievance, and killing intent in his listless eyes. He screams on top of his lungs. It's him, that thief bastard. Just like Kylon, Asher and Samien start to curse out loud. They didn't know how they got the energy, but their fists were clenching tightly, and they were grinding their teeth in hatred. On the other hand, Matthias was very calm, and he didn't curse like others, and there was no hatred in his eyes at all. On the contrary, there was surprised, reverence, and a peculiar look, but there was not a shred of hatred. But his expression was hidden extremely well, and no one could see it. Everyone knows that he didn't talk much. Even when his whole family being slaughtered in front of his eyes, he never uttered a single word. Even Dulce thinks that his old man has gone mad after seeing all his city being destroyed, so she didn't pay much attention to him all this time. Okay, gentlemen, now you see your city little rising star is here, and I'll give you a chance to get your revenge. We'll start the show tonight, and you all are the opening actors. Dulce said as she claps her hands together. She gives them 4 healing pills with a double mysterious pattern engraved on them. They were green-grade pills. They all eat those healing pills, and their wounds start to heal at an alarming rate. This is the power of green-grade pills. Except for Matthias, the others, 3 were in high spirits. They didn't even think about running because they didn't even have any place to run. They just wanted to avenge their families or wanted to take Ace into the underworld with them. They were ready to be killed, or kill this time, but they were determined to capture that thief. The storm was finally ready. After 4 hours, Ace opened his tightly closed eyes. He had successfully stabilized his realm at the peak of Heavenly Gates' realm. He has finally opened the last Heavenly Self gate, the Gate of Heart. He could feel that his whole body had become lighter. The Heavenly Chi was pouring in his whole body meridians smoothly like a stream of a river. The opening of meridians was the sign of the Gate of Heart. His other senses were now ever sharper. While assimilating the Gate of Heart, he also started to absorb the Heavenly Chi in his meridians. It was the middle of the night, and the city was silent. But the weather was the whole other story outside, were raining cats and dogs. One could hear the deep, rumbling noises of the lightning, now and then. Outside of the inn where Ace was staying, the entrance was already surrounded by many guards. On the avenue, 2 luxurious horse carriages were moving. Because of the weather, Ace didn't notice this disturbance at all. Dulce chose to strike now specific for this reason. He would never saw it coming. She heard quite some stories about him, and she knew he was very skilled at escaping. That's why she bought all these elite guards. These luxurious horse carriages stopped just before the entrance of the inn. There were many guards around the carriages, but only one carriage belonged to the Dulce, whereas the others belonged to the city lord. They were here for the same purpose, and that was to capture Ace alive. Dulce was very interested in his skills, just like Asher. Ace was still training in his room. He indeed didn't notice all the commotion because of the weather, but he was only staying on the 2nd floor of the inn. Since he had just breakthrough, he was in peak condition. The moment he felt a little bit of movement on the 1st floor with his keen soul senses. The very moment he active his heavenly sense to see what was happening when he saw all those guards outside at the entrance. He immediately woke up and rushed toward Eva's room. They're here for us, Ace concludes after seeing all those guards, because when he active his heavenly sense, he felt 2 familiar soul signatures. This soul signature was an innate active skill like soul sense. He could record a person's special soul aura or soul signature with his heavenly sense the moment he meets them, or they were in his range of soul sense. He gained this special ability when he formed the Yellow Wind Core. He found out about this ability this very morning when he used his heavenly sense on Sheila and steal her storage bag. That's why the moment he senses two of the familiar soul signatures, he immediately knows they were here for him. His heavenly sense was locked on the first floor. He saw a bald man and 4 black-caped men were coming towards the second floor at high speed. They will be here in 1 or 2 minutes. We have to escape before they reached here. Ace didn't even knock on Eva's room, and with a shake of his hand the door locked was broken easily. Eva was cultivating when she heard the bang of the broken lock. She was jolt awakened by it and nearly escaped a serious injury. This invokes her killing intent, and she was going to attack the person who was responsible for it. But when she saw it was Ace, and he has a grave expression on his face, she swallowed her anger and asked, "What happened? Don't you know, when someone was in a deep state of cultivation, they can't be disturbed or the consequences would be too severe? I'm sorry, but I have to do this because someone is coming for us, and they're strong. Maybe even in the Chi Foundation realm." Ace said gravely, and he was feeling guilty for doing this, but the situation was not in their favor right now, so he can only apologize to her and make it up to her later. Eva's face turned pale after she hears him. She knows too well just how powerful Ace's senses were. She quickly stood up and said, "We should escape from this window." Ace nodded his head in agreement and opened the window of Eva's room. Some guards were standing outside, but if they want to leave, those guards could do nothing but helplessly watch them leave safely. Ace and Eva were now at the peak of the Chi Gates realm, so the jump from a second floor was nothing but an ant bit to them with their strong bodies. Before jumping, both of them active their stealth skills. Baldy with the other 4 black-caped men reached the second floor and directly go towards Ace's room. But when they reach his room, it was empty. "That bastard escaped again," said one of the black-caped men. It was the voice of Rylan. "Escaped?" Baldy sneers in contempt, hearing Rylan's words. "You lowly peasant didn't know just how powerful is a kingdom-level power. Didn't Princess find out where that rat was hiding in an hour? So, just shut the hell up and only followed the order that was given to you by Princess." Badly said in a cold voice, and begins to check the other rooms. The silent and becomes very noisy because Dulce has given the order to other guards. Turn this entire and upside down and capture that little thief, no matter the cost. Even City Lord was with her, so how could anyone dare to disobey her order? When everyone was searching for the thief inside the inn, the thief has already escaped the perimeter of guards. Ace and Eva had only escaped 40 meters when they bumped into a strange, invisible barrier. The moment they contacted the invisible barrier, it starts to shine like a sun. The dark, rainy sky around the inn turns into a day because of that intense light. Ace's face changed color from white to blue, and he wanted to swear badly. He didn't know what this strange barrier was, but he does know that he was trapped and in a deep crisis. It was his first time encountering this kind. From the stars of his journey 4 months ago, he always succeeds in his mission and escaped without a scratch. He unknowingly becomes arrogant and careless. He always thought that he could escape anything with help of his skills and system until now. No matter what skill he used, he can't even find a hole in that barrier like he always does after using his true and false eye skill. It was because the skill deficiency was not high enough or the skill itself was not enough. This time Ace panicked. He finally has a taste of despair and his hands start to shake a little. It was his first time after becoming a cultivator that he loses his calm like this. "Is this the end?" he mumbles softly. Ace's mind was in a mess when he felt a warm softness on his trembling hand. He looked beside him. Eva was holding his hand tightly and looking in his eyes as she says gently, "We'll escape from here, and after that, you have to go on shopping with me, all right?" Eva's gentle voice awakes him from his panic state, and he calms down a great deal. He couldn't help but feel blessed to have someone like her beside him in this situation. If there's a next time, I'll not make this kind of mistake. He made an oath in his heart. At this time, he suddenly remembers a black face. He remembered a man named Cole and his words. Remember, boy, never get arrogant no matter what, or when someone's stronger than you tamper on you like an ant, you will never be able to stand again. Note, he met him in the outer region weapon market. Ace takes a deep breath and completely calms down. He finally understands the meaning of those words. He was about to look for an escape route when a voice rang in the vacancy. Now, because of the barrier's light, everyone could see clearly. And Ace only now noticed the rain was not falling in the area around the inn as well. What a touching scene, I want to cry. A sliver of ridicule could be felt in this beautiful voice. Ace and Eva turned around and saw the bold and powerful soldiers standing outside the inn. Of course, the most striking were the two horse carriages. "Who are you, and what do you want with us?" Ace asked while he was scanning the invisible barrier with his heavenly sense. He wanted to buy some time by talking with this girl. He was scanning the invisible barrier when he heard the system voice inside his mind. Host has been trapped inside a lowest grade formation barrier. With Host's current level of power, it is impossible to break this formation. The system suggests to find the power source of the formation or the formation plate that is controlling the formation. The system has already deducted 20 TP on its own since Host is busy. Thief points, TP 670. The sound of the system was like some angel voice in Ace's ears at this moment. He finally understands what this barrier was and what he needs to do to break it. But how the hell a formation appeared in this kind of place? Ace grimaced. One has to know that the formation was not something that a city should have. Someone from a kingdom is targeting me. His senses were extremely sharp, and with little clues, he quickly guessed just what kind of a power he was dealing with. Ace was distracted by the system for a moment, but he quickly focused on the carriage. Because of the formation barrier, the rain has stopped falling inside the area of the barrier, and the two carriages' doors were begun to open. From the carriages inside, two people got down. The one with the robust body was the city lord Quentin. He had a very small white beard on his old face, wearing a golden robe and adorned with shiny gold ornaments. The other was Dulce, a girl with blonde hair and a graceful figure. With a gentle smile, she was wearing a green skirt. When she saw Ace and Eva, those clear like water eyes suddenly glittered with a slight shimmer. "Let me introduce myself. My name is Dulce Golden, and you must be the infamous thief of Rye Flower City, Thousand Hands Ghost, right?" Dulce swept past Ace with her two eyes as she introduces herself. Both Ace and Eva become astonished after seeing who the owner of this carriage was. It was the same blonde girl they saw outside of the city herbs and weapons shop. After hearing Dulce's sentence, Ace becomes a little confused first because he didn't know who this Thousand Hands Ghost was, but after he heard Riverflower City's name, his heart tightens. He finally understands why this girl was targeting him and Eva. Yes, on Ace's face, there was no fear. Although he was facing a noble figure from a kingdom, he was still very calm. He could see that Dulce come prepared and knew who he truly was, so hiding his identity as a thief anymore was meaningless. He also felt Dulce and two men standing behind her. Their strength had reached the Chief Foundation building realm, especially that old man who comes out from the other carriage. He was more powerful than the early stage Chief Foundation building realm. You quite fearless even in this situation. Not like the thief that I heard about who can only escape after doing his deed. Dulce said in disappointment, after seeing Ace was not reacting as she had imagined. Ace didn't say anything, and he was still searching for the power source of this formation, just like system suggests. He didn't know what a formation plate was, but it was definitely in the hands of this girl. After all, who in their right mind would give this kind of thing that can control this kind of formation to someone else? At this time, a group of people from the crowd rushed out and pointed at Ace as they cursed, and it was evidently clear from their black hooded capes on their bodies that they were Baldy Party who was searching for Ace inside the inn moments ago. "Little bastard, I'm going to kill you after I torture you for all your pathetic life," one of them said grimly with cold eyes filled with killing intent. He reveals his face. It was Rylan. Ace becomes surprised after hearing this voice, and when he sees the face of Rylan, he becomes shocked. What is he doing here? All of them reveals their faces. When Ace saw their face, he was even more surprised. He didn't know who the other three were. but seeing their outfit was matching Ryland's, they were also from Riverflower City. Ace didn't recognize the other three, but Eva does. She lived inside for many years, so she was quite knowledgeable, especially about Kelby and Grant family. The middle-aged man is Sumyen Kelby, the head of Kelby family. Beside him is Asher Kelby, and the other old man is Matthews, the city lord of Riverflower City. She whispered. Ace's eyebrows were continuously moving up and down after Eva revealed the three men's identity. He has enmity with both Kelby and Grant's family. If they were the ones who were helping Dulce, he could understand it, but what the hell is the city lord himself doing here? Dulce saw Ace's confused expression, and guess what he was thinking? She was waiting for this exact moment. You seem to be confused about why a city lord of the city was doing here, abandoning his city. Let me enlighten you. The Ryflower City is no more, meaning it was destroyed 10 days ago. Ace's face becomes extremely pale, as if there was no blood left. Despair filled his eyes as he forgets that he was currently trapped inside the formation and asks Dulce in a trembling voice, How? No, it's impossible. Even Eva was shocked after hearing this. She didn't care about that city much because she didn't have any good memories about it. All of the memories she had about that city only held pain. But Ace was different from her, and that city was where he was born, and his whole family grave was also in that city. He has very strong emotions attached to that place. No matter how much he has suffered in there, that was still a place he called home. If this news was really real, Ace would fall into deep despair and become vulnerable. This was the exact thing Dulce was aiming for from the start. She was extremely clever and a schemer. She didn't know if he was from that city or not, but if there was the slightest chance he was from there, then he would definitely fall for her schemes. She wanted to break his fighting spirit, that why she left those four alive, especially the city lord. She saw Ace's expression and smiled broadly. After all, my guess was not wrong. Those idiots didn't even think that how can a thief suddenly appear out of thin air, and an extremely young one at that? He definitely has some big secret. Who wants that trash ring anyway? She thinks happily this was her real goal from the start. She wants Ace's secret, not the storage ring. Since a secret can make a little boy this powerful, then what about her? That's why she wastes so many resources just to search for him back then, but she didn't find him in that city. She thought that he has escaped, and she would never be able to take his secret for herself. But when she got the report of someone robbing Sheila, she immediately investigates this matter. After finding out that it was the same thief, she becomes extremely excited. She even used a precious light barrier formation just to make sure he would not run away, and she succeeds in the end. If you don't believe me, you can ask your former city lord. Not a single person remains alive, except from these four, or I should say 6 after counting you and that girl. Dulce giggles as she points her finger towards Matthews. Ace looked towards Matthews. There was little hope in his eyes. He didn't want this to be true. Matthews saw Ace's hopeful eyes, and a peculiar glint flashed past his eyes. He takes a deep breath and said, She's telling the truth about the Riverflower City being destroyed. No one left alive except us, and she's the one who destroyed the city and kills everyone. Ace's eyes turn bloodshot, and he roars at Dulce in rage after Matthews confirms her claim. Why? They were all innocent people. Innocent? They get what they deserve. There's some rules that you lowly slaves can never break. That slave killed one of my kingdom's people and practiced our skills and techniques. According to the rules, they deserve to die. Dulce scoffed as she pointed her finger towards Ryland. Her words were like sharp daggers that directly stab Ace's heart. In his eyes, she didn't seem beautiful at all. He could only see a ruthless bitch. Then what about you? Who should punish you? Ace's words were filled with murderous intent. The majority of the crowd couldn't help but have shivers run down their spines, hearing his ear-piercing laughter. Dulce wrinkled her brows, her face filled with anger. She said with a cold smile, Punished me? I'm afraid it won't be you, because you don't have the power. And even if you have the power, so what? You can never do anything to me. I'm a princess of a kingdom, and you're just a slave of a kingdom the moment you're born here. Even if I annihilate half of the land of cities, no one will punish me. You know why? Because of the status and power I represent. In a kingdom's eye, all of you are just thralls. Eva felt extreme pain in her heart after seeing Ace in this state and felt burning rage hearing Dulce's ruthless words. She wanted to kill her right at this moment. Even Rylan, Asher, Samien, and the crowd, including Quentin, felt rage burning inside their heart after they heard Dulce's words. But what can they do but swallow their anger and stand there like idiots? Good. Very good. So this is the real face cultivation world? As long as I have power, I can do anything? Ace laughs like a lunatic as he said those words, but tears were flowing through his eyes as they become completely black. This was the first time he wanted to kill someone this bad. All of a sudden, a cold black smoke arises from Ace's body. In the sky, thunder starts to rumble after that black smoke emerges from Ace. Even Dulce could feel that this smoke was not normal. She feels extremely cold sensations from that smoke. Everyone, including Dulce, felt the sudden rapid drop in the temperature of the atmosphere. Some guards with weak cultivation even started to shiver. Hurry, attack him. He's using some kind of dangerous skill. She shouts in a panic. This was not in her calculation. She didn't think this little thief has this kind of card up his sleeve. Quentin with Dulce's personal bodyguards attack the moment they hear her command because even they could tell something was extremely wrong with Ace. Eva panicked as while she was the closest to Ace and the black smoke almost frees her hand that Ace was holding. She endures the pain, but she didn't let go of his hand. Ace didn't know what was happening around him. He has just one thought in mind, and that to kill Dulce and annihilate her entire kingdom to avenge all those innocent people of Riverflower City. He only hears system voice in his mind. Hidden conditions have been satisfied. The host can now open the other 4 hidden gates of Heavenly Gates with 600 TP. In System's voice, there was excitement. Ace's mind was in chaos right when he heard System's voice. There was some kind of mysterious power in that voice. He immediately regains his senses. But his eyes remained pitch black and the black smoke didn't vanish either. He felt extreme coldness coming from his body like he was in the depth of a frozen lake. He could feel something wants to burst out of his body, like there was a mysterious power that wanted to be free from his shackles. He didn't have time to think what it was because he saw 3 powerful experts of the Chi Foundation realm were coming towards him with killing intent. With a thought, 2 gray beads appear in his hand. They were invisibility beads. Ace placed an invisibility bead in Eva's hand that was very cold because of him and said, "Quickly shatter this bead." Eva's hand almost froze, but when she saw Ace regain his calm and give her a gray bead, she didn't delay and quickly do as she told and shatter that bead instantly with Ace. The moment they shattered the gray beads, a gray light enveloped them and they vanished in thin air. Everyone saw this and exclaimed in shock because all this happened in seconds and Dulce's force didn't have time to react before Ace and Eva vanished in front of everyone's eyes. The 3 experts were about to reach Ace when he vanished with Eva, but they didn't stop and released their aura of Chi Foundation realm. Around their fists, Chi starts to form like they were wearing the gauntlets of Chi. This is the manifestation of Chi. One can only do this after they can reach the Chi Foundation building realm. They wanted to attack the spot where Ace was standing before disappearing with full power. If he was still around that spot, he would be gravely injured. Boom! 3 fists were landed on the spot where Ace was standing just a second ago, but they meet with only dust and an empty void. Dulce's face turned extremely ugly when she saw this and said in anger, "Find them. They can't breach this barrier. They must be somewhere in this area surrounding the barrier, and that strange treasure won't last forever. They will appear sooner or later. We just have to find and capture them the moment they will appear. They're just 2 rats in a big cage. Dulce ordered everyone to search for them, and if they spot them, they have to immediately report." She didn't expect Ace to have that strange bead that can even help him escape 3 Chi Foundation experts. Even she can't feel that coldness coming from Ace anymore. She was now more determined to capture Ace and take his secrets for herself. Inside the inn on the 5th floor in an empty room, 2 persons appear out of thin air. They were Ace and Eva. Eva has a curious expression on her face. She was fascinated by those two gray beads, miraculous power of invisibility. They can escape with ease, even with all those experts presents right in front. But that invisible power only lasts for a single minute. As much as she wanted to inquire about the origin of those gray beads, she can't, because Ace's body was still releasing that black cold smoke, and his eyes were black. He was giving a feeling of extreme chillness. He wasn't looking like a human at this moment. I know how you're feeling right now, but we have to find a way to escape from that strange barrier before they find us again. After we escape, if you want, we can seek revenge for all those innocent people, and I'll help you with it," she said in a worried tone while trying to console him. Ace was still feeling deep grief and pain. The images of Cole, that auntie and her son, the restaurant owner where he used to work, those streets of the city, were appearing in his mind. He will never be able to see all those people, his home, ever again. They were all gone. Sigh. He sighs after heard Eva's words. He has to find a way to escape here before avenging them all. "I'm fine, just give me some time to calm down," he said to her, and sits down in the corner of that room. He also saw the black smoke coming out of his body and System message. He transmitted his voice inside his mind. "System, what is happening to me, and what are these for hidden gates?" Host has awakened the innate attribute of the Heaven Stealer, darkness, won by feeling true despair. This was supposed to happen when the host would be encountering the first heavenly punishment. But it seems that unknowingly Host has touched the minor law of darkness, and that is despair. Because of it, the host can now open the 4 hidden gates of darkness that was forming inside your body from the first day you start to steal the chi from heaven. Without opening these gates of darkness, Host will never be able to build a heavenly foundation of darkness. Ace didn't notice the excitement in the System's voice because he was only feeling deep coldness, nothing else. His mind was extremely calm, and he asked calmly, "Darkness and despair? Huh. You telling me it is my choice to form foundation of darkness, or just a heavenly foundation?" From a moment Host chose to learn and practice the Heaven Stealer technique, you chose the road that leads to darkness. The chi that the host steals from heaven is called primordial chi, and it comes from its personal treasury, which is a primordial void. Because this primordial chi can help anyone become as powerful as heaven itself, it never allowed anyone to take that primordial chi, and for eons, this primordial chi has been growing in quantity. But that primordial void is dark with no speck of light there, and now eons after the primordial chi itself has become dark as primordial void. That's why Host has formed these gates of darkness the moment you start using this dark primordial chi. The System didn't ask for any TP for all this mind-breaking information. Ace take a deep breath of cold air. Now he finally understood why this heavenly or primordial chi was black. "So, I was always in the path of darkness from the start." He laughs at his ignorance. But when he remembered Dulce's words of contempt towards the life of a commoner, the coldness in his eyes deepened. Even heaven that controls everything is unfair towards everyone, much less a mere moral bitch like her. "Dulce, System, you have emotions I felt the moment you start talking about primordial chi, and I don't know what you want with me, and I don't care anymore as long as you can give me the power to protect everyone I hold dear. I will do your bidding, even if you want me to slay the Heavenly King." Ace's cold voice transmitted in his mind. He finally felt the emotion of the System. The System didn't say anything as if it didn't care, and Ace also didn't have enough time to inquire further about it. So he said while his pitch-black eyes shined darkly, "Open the gates of darkness, let the darkness be my eternal acolyte." He knows from now on the darkness will be the closest to him, or it already is in face of the System. == Confirmation received. System has deducted 600 TP, and the opening of the gates of darkness has begun. Please brace yourself, Host. == Veins starting to pop out all over Ace's body the moment System voice range in his mind. After a moment, he fell from his sitting, his hand and legs began to twist. He was currently feeling pain worse than death. The black smoke enveloped his entire body like a cocoon. One can only see a glob of black smoke. not Ace's body anymore. Eva panicked the moment she saw him fall and hurriedly moved to pick him up, but the black smoke has already enveloped his body and she can't get closer to him. The temperature of the room starts to fall at a rapid pace. Inside the smoke globe, Ace felt his blood was turning extremely cold. It was changing like all his body whenever he opens a heavenly gate, and now all the blood inside his body starts to absorb the heavenly chi, and the crimson color of his blood has more deepened, almost turned black. But this time the chi inside his meridians were not like vague black, but complete pitch black. It was the chi of primordial darkness. The sixth gate, Blood of Darkness, has successfully opened. He didn't have time to hear System's voice because after his darkness blood gate, the space between his eyebrows starts to tingle. He called it the mind space. This space was formed because of his soul cultivation, and in this space was his yellow wind soul core. The soul core was currently floating in the center of his mind space. It was like a glob of yellow cloud. But suddenly chi of darkness starts to enter his mind space, and space starts to turn black from its white, transparent state. That wasn't the end. The space starts to expand, and so was his soul core. He didn't know how much time has passed, but after the expansion of his mind space stopped to change completely. Now it was like a dark sky, and in the center of this dark sky was a big yellow soul core. It was like a sun that was illuminating the entire dark mind space. The seventh gate, Mind of Darkness, has successfully... Ace was on the verge of collapsing. The pain that was coming from the opening of two hidden gates simultaneously was unimaginable. He wanted to make it stop many times, but whenever he remembers that his home was destroyed and countless innocent people have died in that bitch hands, he would grind his teeth and persist. Two more, he thought, while clenching his teeth. He was feeling extreme pain when he suddenly felt his heartbeat was becoming extremely slow. It was on the verge of stopping. Inside his inner heart, chi of darkness, black smoke, starts to enters, and inside of his heart starts to turn vague black. He didn't feel any pain from it. On the contrary, he felt comfortable as the chi was moving inside his inner heart. By opening the fifth gate of heart, he has only opens his outer heart with heavenly chi, and he didn't feel like this before. The eighth gate, inner heart of darkness, has successfully opened. Ace was finally feeling some comfort when the black smoke around him starts to enter his abdomen. He groans in pain and felt a chill all over his body. This black smoke was merging with the heavenly chi inside his body and forming a whirlpool. It was like a forming of a black hole. After some time, all the smoke was sucked inside that mysterious whirlpool. After his heavenly chi one merging with that black smoke in his abdomen, it create darkness chi, and that black whirlpool was filled with darkness chi. The most fascinating thing Ace noticed about that black whirlpool was it was converting all the heavenly chi inside his body into the chi of darkness rapidly. He was now out of that globe of smoke, and his eyes have turned back to normal. Equals 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 equals. The ninth gate, Gate of Primordial Darkness, has successfully opened. Congratulations, host. You have formed the void of primordial darkness. All the skills related to darkness have been reached perfection. Host status has been updated. Equals 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 equals. System's sweet voice transmitted inside his mind. That black whirlpool inside my abdominal is called void of primordial darkness? And what was that black smoke that can even create this kind of thing? He asked the system with his thought. But before Ace could hear System's answer, he felt two soft hands on his face, and there was hot water dripping on his face. He becomes confused and saw just where that water was coming from when he saw Eva crying face. That water was her tears. Nothing happened to you, right? I was so scared that I would lose you too, just like my father and mother. She said while tears were flowing from her eyes. There was relief, happiness, and gentleness in her beautiful eyes as she was looking at him. Ace felt touched after he saw her crying for him, and a little warmth spread in his cold heart. He held her hand and said softly, I'm fine, it was just some strange issue with my cultivation technique. So, don't worry about me. Eva finally had a sigh of relief after she saw him turning into normal and hearing his assuring words. Don't make me scarred again, or I'll never forgive you ever, she said as she looked directly into his eyes. He nodded his head. Ace smiled after seeing her like this. He nearly forgets that there was still someone with him all this time who never left him. He stood up and heard System voice. Yes, that is the void of primordial darkness, or you can call it the dark void. It can convert host primordial, heavenly, chi into darkness chi, and it is the essence of crystal body that host cultivates. That smoke of first darkness was a gift from System for host achievement. The System was supposed to give it after host felt the minor law of despair with the help of heavenly punishment, but host did it on his own. Ace nearly cursed at the System after he hears that. This is not rewarding at all if you were going to give it to me from the start. He transmitted his angry voice inside his head. But like always, there was not a reply. Show me my status, he said while he was getting used to his new prowess. Equals 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 equals. Status panel. Host, Ace White. Race, human, no bloodline. Heaven, first mortal sky heaven. Martial cultivation, heavenly gates of darkness, complete. EXP, 0/50,000. Soul cultivation, yellow wind soul core. SP, 999/1000 extra, 1031. Thief points, TP 70. Skills 5. Stealth basic, perfection. Silent steps basic, perfection. True and false eyes basic. Middle, pickpocket high. Treasure opening hands, basic art. 4th form, cultivation technique 2. Heaven Stealer technique, volume 1, dual shadow swords, 1st realm. Current mission 1 equals 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 equals. Ace saw his status and nodded in satisfaction. Only his EXP changed, and he needs to collect 50,000 now, but he didn't care. His skills related to darkness have reached perfection. That was what he was ecstatic about the most. That pain was worth it. How much time has passed since we come here? Ace asked Eva in a calm tone. After opening gates of darkness, his aura has completely changed, and now he seems calmer than before, and he was giving off a feeling of a bottomless dark abyss. Only 2 to 3 minutes have passed since we come here, she replies in a daze. If Eva didn't see all the suffering Ace had gone through, she would have thought he was a completely different person after seeing the deep look on his eyes. Furthermore, she felt even closer to him for some reason, and this feeling was not vague anymore either. But she can't put her I felt like years has passed inside that black smoke, and only 2 or 3 minutes has passed. He deems in bewilderment, but he quickly shifts his gaze outside of the window. Everyone was searching for them with everything they had. Seeing all those guards, and especially Dulce carriage, Ace eyes turn cold. He wanted to find out just how powerful he was after becoming probably the first 9th gate cultivation of this world, or maybe the entire mortal sky heavens. You stay hidden, and I'll go find a way out of here, he said to Eva. Eva didn't want to leave him alone and wanted to go with him when she saw Ace was showing her a gray bead in his hand. I'll be fine with this bead. You take one as well. If anything goes wrong, used it for escaping. I have more than enough for me, he said with a warm smile as he placed an invisibility bead in her soft hand. She finally nodded her head and gave in after seeing the mysterious bead in his hand. Ace didn't delay any further and left the room. It's time for the hunt. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he mutters those words. Outside of the inn, inside Dulce carriage, Dulce was feeling very uneasy for some reason. She saw Ace emitting that mysterious black smoke and that strange treasure bead. She was feeling something was amiss. This was not in her calculation at all. She even starts to regret her decision to toying with Ace instead of capturing him from the beginning. She suddenly felt that cold sensation again, and that was coming from the inn upper floors. Since she was outside of the inn, she can't pinpoint the exact location of that coldness, but she could tell that was coming from the inn. Inside, he's inside, Dulce holler. Go and capture him for me. If he dares to resist, kill that girl and break his limbs. I want him here in 5 minutes. Don't test my patience. You 4 slave, go with him. Don't dare to try any tricks. Let me tell you, those 4 healing pills were poisonous, and if you don't get cure in 10 hours, you all will die painfully, she said to Matthews and the other 3 from Riverflower City in a vicious tone. Matthews and other smiles bitterly hearing her words. and finally understand why did this vixen give them those precious green ranked pills so generously. She would never let anyone who could cause her trouble in the future be left alive. They all, including Dulce's guards, the city lord, and the 50 elites guards, enters the inn after Dulce gave her order, and only a few guards remained beside her. Inside the inn, Ace was on the 3rd floor when he senses the moment on the lower floors. After the opening of Mind of Darkness Gate, his range of heavenly sense has increased from 30 meters to 50 meters. He was feeling wonderful right now. With his perfection level, stealth, and cultivation of 9th gate of the Heavenly Gates realms, even peak stage Chi Foundation building realm experts can't pinpoint his location anymore. Only Chi River realm experts were able to locate him. 2 black swords appear in his hands as he smiled coldly. He was set for hunting. Primordial Chi equals Heavenly Chi. The Grand Inn of the city was empty after the commotion Dulce made, and all the customers, including the owner of the inn, was now standing outside. They didn't know what was happening, but they didn't dare to utter a single word because they saw just how this young girl was ordering around the city, lord like a servant. Ace was moving while his stealth was active. Even in the light, one could only see a blur moving around the floor. These were silent steps in perfection mastery. He was as fast as peak-level Chi Foundation building realm. Ace saw few guards were heading towards his way. He stopped moving and hid his presence with stealth. A moment after 5 armored guards come to his view. Ace moved similar to lightning. Dark aura started to surge into his swords. He slashes with lightning speed, and a dark horizontal beam carrying vigorous and tyrannical darkness power hacks towards the 5 armored guards' necks simultaneously. This sudden fierce attack left those guards simply no time to dodge. That black beam simply passed through their necks like a hot knife in a butter. First, they didn't know what was transparent with them and wanted to alert others about Ace's position. But after a second, blood spilled from their necks, and the next moment 5 heads with wide-open eyes were rolling on the floor, dyed red with blood. You have killed 5 cultivators in 5 ND Gate of Chi Gates realm. You have earned 500 EXP. EXP 500/50 000. Just SOSO. Ace faintly said as saw those 5 heads rolling on the floor coldly. He finally understands just how powerful he has become after opening the 4 hidden gates of darkness, and his HD Chi 1 was more powerful than Heavenly Chi. Ace didn't stay here for long, because their 5 were only the fragment of the large force that was currently inside the inn. More guards were coming towards him, and this time with them, Ace sensed many strong presences, Chi Foundation experts. He thought as he faded inside an empty dark room. Look, 5 corpses of our brothers. A loud, alarming voice of a guard rang inside the hallway. Everyone saw 5 headless corpses were lying there on the bloody floor. Everyone's face turns pale, including Rylan, Sumyin, and Asher, and a chill runs down their spine. They wanted to kill Ace the most because, according to them, he was the main reason that they were in this situation. But after seeing 5 headless corpses of 5th Gate Realm elite guards, they finally understand just how powerful Ace truly was. Now there was dread in their eyes. Matthews was relatively calm after seeing that bloody scene. From the start, he didn't want to capture Ace for some reason. Those 5 didn't die too long ago, probably only 2 or 3 minutes have passed. He should be here somewhere. Search every single room. Don't engage in a fight with him. He's too strong for you all. If you saw him, just shout out your position. We have the numbers advantage, said Baldy in a grave voice. Even he, a Chi Foundation realm expert, was feeling some pressure after seeing those 5 clean-cut heads. Everyone swallows their dry saliva and starts searching extremely carefully. But no matter how much they search, they can't find Ace. What they find now, and then were new corpses of guards. Ace didn't go after the Chi Foundation realm experts. He was going after those Chi Gates realms, elite guards. It was like Ace was chipping away their weak forces first. Quentin's heart was bleeding after seeing all those guards' corpses. These elite guards were personally nurtured by him, and they were supposed to show their worth in the special test of New Moon City promotion, but now almost half of them were gone. How could he not be furious after seeing this? Little bastard shows your face if you have guts. Quentin howled angrily in the hallway. Now everyone was sticking together. Only 27 out of 50 guards will remain after 10 minutes, and they didn't dare to vent alone in these dark rooms any further. In their mind, that guy was supposed to be a petty thief, but he was more like a professional assassin. Ace was listening to Quentin's angry roar and sneer after he hears that old bastard's shameless words. He was alone, and that old geezer wanted him to expose himself in front of all those experts. And oh, thank you very much. He has killed quite some guards, and he noticed that everyone was sticking together now, and hunting them one by one was almost impossible. But those idiots were so scared they didn't dare to leave this floor alone. Now, even those Chi Foundation realm experts were sticking together. He was quite confident to kill that old guy who was barking just now and was the strongest of them all. But with all those guards and Chi Foundation realm experts together, he would be seeking death by going out in the open. He was just thinking about what to do next when he saw the door of the room open. A person enters the room, and he was alone. His eyes turned cold, and he was just about to attack him when that person spoke in a low voice. "If you're here, please hear this old man out. I'm not your enemy." Ace didn't believe that old man first, but he could feel that this old man didn't have any killing intent or bad intention towards him. He hesitates a little, but when he saw the face of that old man, he becomes astonished because it is the former city lord of the Riverflower City, Matthews Layton. Matthews sighed as he thought it was another failure, and he was about to leave when a chill ran down his spine and froze on the spot, because from behind a sharp blade edge was placed on his throat. "What do you want with me?" "You have 10 seconds. Ace whispered. Cold sweat was dripping from Matthews' forehead. He didn't expect Ace to be this skilled. He can even sneak up on a Chi Foundation realm expert like himself. Matthews inhaled deeply and said in a faint voice, "I know your father, Owen White. As for how did I figure out who you are, that is because your face is almost identical to what your father showed me that time, and you resemble him as well. Especially your dark blue eyes, I can never forget them. They were the same as your mother, Stella White." Matthews felt the sword on his throat quiver a little when he said those names, and finally, that sword edge was removed, and a young man comes in front of him. It was Ace. Ace has a look of nostalgia and confusion on his face. Two vague faces appear in his mind. They were the faces of his parents. It has been too long since the last time he saw them and heard these names. He was only 4 years old when he heard the news about their death in Wastelands. But why did this city lord know about their names? Even he didn't know much about them. He only remembers that they were low-level cultivators, and his grandparents didn't tell him about their past either. Matthews see Ace's troubled face and guessed what he was thinking and said, "I know you have too many questions like how I know your parents and why didn't I help you when you were alone and many more. But I can't tell you anything because even I didn't know much about your parents. I met them 9 years ago in Wastelands. They were wounded quite badly at that time and were hunted around by their enemies. It was only a coincidence, and I wanted to help them, but their enemies were far too strong for me to handle. I think they can see through my nature, especially your mother with her dark blue eyes. After they make sure I'm not an evildoer, they only tell me their names and ask me to look after their son. Your father used some kind of mysterious skill to show me your appearance in my head, and after that, he mysteriously sends me far away from that place to save my life. If he wants, he could have just let me die there. It was after all my fault for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But he didn't do that. He even entrusts his son to me and used his last bit of power to send me away. This kindness I'll never forget. After returning to the city, I tried searching for you in the inner region for quite some time, but failed. At that time, I think that they would have been escaped from their enemies with their prowess and take you away with them and stop my search. But who would have thought that you were inside the city all this time, and you even become this powerful by relying solely on yourself? I was quite shocked when I saw your portrait after you robbed that old goat and his son-in-law. I was quite ashamed of myself at that time after thinking about you should really go through extreme hardship that it even forced you to become a thief. He laments as he finished his story. Note, it was actually Heavenly Darkness Chi, but it was too long, so I simplify it into HD Chi. Ace lament hearing the whole story of Matthews. He was having a hard time believing that his parents were so mysterious and powerful. But with his powerful soul sense, he could tell that Matthews was telling the truth, but there was still something he was hiding. Why are they in Riverflower City if they were so strong and have a poor lifestyle? Even Grandma and Grandfather didn't tell me anything about it. He thought in dismay. Suddenly, he remembered Eva's story of her parents. His mind began to work at lightning speed. Are they being in the same kind of situation as her parents? It was a mystery that he can't solve because he didn't have any clue. He wanted to ask more, but he heard footsteps approaching the room. He sighed and suppressed his urge to ask more and said to Matthews in a deep voice, "I don't know much about my parents' secrets either, and I'm grateful to you that you tell me all this. But we didn't have much time to talk. We have to escape first." Matthews nodded in agreement and said while his expression turned solemn, "Dulce is alone outside with only 10 guards. You should take this chance and find a way to her. I'm poisoned and can't hold more than 7 or 8 hours. You have to get her storage ring. Everything we need is inside that ring." Ace's eyes turned cold as he heard Dulce's name and nodded. He was still grateful to Matthews for telling him about his parents, and to repay this favor, he wanted to save him. He opens the window and jumps outside. He wanted to take this chance and take down Dulce and get revenge for all those innocent people. Matthews saw him leave from the window, and a crafty light flashed across Matthews's eyes, but it vanished as soon as it appears. Because he saw Rylan was coming towards this room and left quickly as well. Inside her carriage, Dulce was waiting for 15 minutes now, and her face was filled with violence and anxiety. She would hear some noises now and then, but can't tell the exact situation inside. The feeling of uneasiness was also getting stronger every passing minute. Suddenly, she felt outside of the carriage has become extremely silent. She opens the door, wanted to see what was happening outside, when she saw only the corpses of guards. Her face turns ashen, and she quickly takes out a sword from her storage ring. This sword blade was red and was giving off the feeling of fire. There were 4 red gems were engraving in a mysterious pattern on its hilt, a 4-star weapon. She comes out of the carriage for the fight. Her pride didn't let to call for reinforcements, because in her eye the target was only a petty thief. And she was a mid-level Chief Foundation building realm expert. On top of that, she was a princess of the kingdom. So what if you take down these trashes? You didn't know your place. Surrender, and I will only plant a slave item on you. You could be my 3rd personal bodyguard, and I'll let that girl accompany you as well. You can't win this fight, she said loudly. She was feeling uneasy, but she can't show this to her enemy. Slave item, huh? How do we know I can't win this fight? Until I try, right? Ace's cold voice sounded in Dulce's ears with a chuckle from behind. She swiftly turns around, and 10 meters away from her was standing a handsome boy with 2 pitch-black swords in his hands. She felt a thick, murderous aura from Ace. "Only you? I was hoping for you to come to your sense, but it seems you can't be saved and want to rebel against your owner. Let me show you just how high heaven truly is," Dulce said as she rushed towards Ace. Dulce's steps were very light. It was similar to superficially treading only using the tip of the toes. Not only was it fast, but she carried herself with graceful and strong momentum. Dulce saw Ace motionlessly standing there. His whole body was full of openings. When she saw Ace trying to predict her steps from her footwork skill, she curls her lips in a sneer. Naive. She leaped into the sky like a butterfly. The sword in her hand starts to move, and a swarm of slashes full of chi form after images overflowing from the top of the sky and surged towards Ace. Vigorous chi shook the air with ear-piercing sword's noise. Obviously, Dulce's sword and footwork were impressive. Ace didn't imagine this kind of attack, and at that moment, he simply couldn't escape the countless sword slashes. He didn't think this weak-looking girl would know such an overbearing skill. Ace HD Chi 1 starts to flow in his 2 swords, and he uses his own sword technique. He slashes his long swords horizontally and short sword vertically. A huge black cross was formed in the air from HD Chi, and both attacks clashed together. Sha sha sha. In a blink of an eye, the clash of both swords was stopped. Dulce, because of her cultivation and powerful skill, comes on top, and Ace's body was slashed a few times from her attack. Ace was shocked seeing wounds on his body. Even his HD chi wasn't able to stop that attack completely. This was probably his first time getting injured after he starts cultivation. He becomes even more serious. He thinks that now he has opened 9 gates, he should be enough to take down this arrogant bitch, but he was naive. She's different from all others, he thought. Actually, he didn't know that Dulce has opened 6 gates before she builds her chi foundation. The royal families of first-grade kingdoms have methods to open 6 chi gates, and those methods come from ancient sects have controlled these lands for countless years, and they didn't want to lose control. So they only give less powerful and incomplete techniques to build a weak foundation to all the power of low-level lands. By making these techniques incomplete and create holes in the foundation of these powers, they can never rebel against sects ever. Because one can also build a foundation by opening 3 chi gates as well, but they will never be able to progress again. All those people in the lands of cities can only build a foundation of 5 gates, and can only reach the Chi River realm in their lifetime with extreme difficulties. That was also the reason why these cities can control the huge wastelands, because they didn't have a method to open even 5 Chi gates. This information was tightly controlled by these sections. They only gave the methods to open 7 Chi gates to a first-grade empire, and methods to open 6 Chi gates to first-grade kingdoms. This way no kingdom can ever rebel against empires, and empires can never reveal their fangs against sects. If Ace knows about it, he will hate all the sections. But he has opened 9 hidden Chi gates, and they aren't just any hidden gates, they were primordial darkness gates. Even those sex prodigies can only open 8 Chi gates. He was the strongest in Chi gate realm. People like Dulce with 6 gates foundation can only press him in mid-stage of their realm. They can't kill him. Dulce's face turned ugly after seeing him only injured a little from her strong attack. She didn't expect that she can find an opponent in this barren place, and he didn't even reach the Chi Foundation building realm yet. On top of that, he was just a 12-year boy. She was only used her full power this time, because before she didn't want to kill him accidentally and wanted to interrogate him about his secret. But now she felt extreme humiliation, and this invoked her killing intent. Seeing he escaped from her first attack, if this news were to spread to the kingdoms, she would become a laughing stock of Land of Kingdoms. Ace saw Dulce has become serious. If they were alone and how much he hates her, he would definitely fight her to death. But it was not the case right now, because after the commotion that was made by the collision of their attacks, Dulce guards have been alerted, and like Ace, they had jumped from the flood to reach here quickly. One day I'll destroy your entire kingdom, just you wait. Ace said with killing intent and activist stealth. By using his silent steps, he was too fast for Dulce. He escaped successfully from her, and he has again entered the inn. Dulce felt she might explode from anger when she saw that brat escape from her grasp again. But she was no match for his speed at all and stomped her feet in anger. Suddenly her focus turned towards all those people standing not too far away. They were all the customers and the owner of the inn. She nearly forgets about these people because of Ace. Only now did she realize that they were spectators present here, and these peasants see her begin humiliated by Ace. Her eyes turned cold after thinking about it. All those people were watching the whole scene transparent in front of them, and shocked to see that little boy fight equally with a princess of the kingdom. They wanted to cheer for that boy, but they wanted their life, so they just pretend that they were not here and didn't see anything. But now that crazy princess was looking towards them with cold eyes, and their faces turned ashen. Baldy and Dulce, another personal guard, finally arrived at Dulce's side. When they see the aftermath of the fight and cuts of swords on the wet ground, their face become pale like other spectators. That boy can fight her highness and even escape alive. That was the thought of both of them. Dulce sees both of their faces and guesses their thoughts. Kill all those slaves, and if I hear any of this from anyone, you're both dead. She orders and warns them coldly. Both of them shiver and nodded like crazy in agreement. Dulce didn't say anything, and she slightly shakes her finger to place the sword in hand inside her storage ring. But the sword didn't disappear as she thought. She becomes confused and looks towards her storage ring to see if there was a problem. But when she saw her ring finger, it was empty. You scoundrel thief! Dulce explodes in anger as she convulsed a mouthful of blood. Heavenly darkness, chi equals HD chi. Why are you standing here like fools? Quickly capture him. That scoundrel steal my storage ring. Dulce hissed at her bodyguards in anger. Her visage reddened with fury. They both felt wrong after Dulce scolded them. Didn't you just said to kill these slaves first? They wanted to shout this, but didn't dare after seeing Dulce's ferocity. They quickly chase after Ace. Dulce, in her rage, forgets about all those spectators and follows both of her guards inside this time. She was a princess of the kingdom and never suffered this kind of humiliation in her life. She always acts like an aloof, otherworldly being, and here everyone looks at her with reverence and worshiping gaze in these barren lands. Even in her home, no one ever dares to speak loudly in her presence. But now a little thief dares to mess with her and even dare to fight her. On top of that, he steals her storage ring right under her nose. If it wasn't for the fact that Ace can't open or take her things inside the storage ring without killing her, or she removes her chi mark on the ring of her own free will, Dulce would have definitely lost her mind from anger. Because there were just too many important and precious things inside that ring, and even the thing she came here for was inside. That's why she was going in herself, to retrieve her storage ring as soon as possible. Now she didn't want to interrogate him anymore. All she wanted was to kill him most painfully and wash her humiliation and calm all the burning hatred in her heart. Ace was currently inside a first-floor room. He was looking at the brown storage ring in his hand. His eyes shined brightly. This was his goal from the start. If he failed to kill Dulce in 5 minutes, then he would take her storage ring only and escape. She was so distracted by him that Dulce didn't even notice her ring taken away from her when she was thinking about his prowess. After opening Ninth Heavenly Gate, his soul threads have also become more sneaky and powerful. Even he was amazed and marveled by the proficiency of his self-created skill. I didn't have time. She will notice her missing storage ring soon. I have to quickly find that formation plate and get rid of this barrier. He mutters under his breath. Ace was about to search for the formation plate inside the storage ring when he suddenly remembered something that he almost forgets about in a moment of urgency. I can't open it without killing her shit. He cursed in his mind as he finally remembered the system's words about storage space treasures. Before he could curse his bad luck further, he heard a cold voice in his mind. Equals. Pickpocket succeed. Host steal. 1. High-level, low-grade storage space treasure, 4th mortal level runes. 21. Middle-level, low-grade storage space treasure, 3rd mortal level runes. 41. Low-grade storage space treasure, 2nd mortal level runes. 5. Lowest grade storage space treasure, 1st mortal level runes. 1. Grade 1 1,000 years blood rose, above 9-star or golden ranked. 40,009. Lowest grade pills, white ranked pills. 10,092. Low grade pills, green ranked pills. 5932. Middle level, low grade pills, blue ranked pills. 1021. High level, low grade pills, azure ranked pills. 8. Low level, middle grade pills, purple ranked pills. 7653. Middle level, low grade weapon, 3 stars. 34. High level, low grade weapon, 4 stars. Techniques and skills, lowest level, mortal level, 21 techniques, 184 skills. Techniques and skills, low level, warrior level 9 techniques, 48 skills. Techniques and skills, mid-low level, master level 1 technique. Ruby coins, 140.4 million. Chi stones trash grade, low level 12 million. Chi stones lowest grade, middle level 998,000. Chi stone low grade, high level 50, 22. Formation plate lowest level, 1st mortal ranked runes 1. Slave contracts, 172. Medicine herbs and metal ores, 20,093 herbs, 1546 metal ores. Rewards, 10,890 thief points. Thief points, 10,960. Ace was currently looking at the panel of the system in a daze. As he read, his eyes nearly pop out of their sockets. He didn't believe his eyes and think that system has been broken and showing wrong numbers and words. But no matter how much he checked with different methods, the numbers remain the same. I'm freaking rich, he nearly screamed out loud. That vixen is way too rich. Ace said in a daze. He finally understands the wealth of a kingdom princess. But now all these things are mine. You'll definitely split blood from anger once I escape here. But it's a pity that I won't be able to see your ugly mug myself at that time. Ace laughs evilly as he thought of Dulce's angry face. Just all those storage rings inside, that Dulce's ring were enough for making him smile ear to ear. Because with this many storage rings, he can upgrade his thief storage space. He can now even convert all those pills into EXP, and with all those pills, if he wants, he can establish his foundation now. But when he remembered the risk involved with it, he gave up on the idea. The icy voice of the system awakes him from his sweet dream. He saw on top of the transparent black main panel, there were many gray-out pentagons. Each pentagon was engraved with a different silver rune symbol. But not all of them were gray. 5 of them were shining with a golden light around them, and the symbols on them were sparkling with silver dots. These 5 pentagons of symbols were Status Panel, Mission Panel, Notification Panel, System Shop, and Thief Space. Each had a different kind of rune symbol representing them. Whenever Ace opened some kind of new function of a system, the pentagon with a rune symbol representing the same function starts to shine with a golden light around them from their gray state. After that, Ace can easily open or see that function with just a thought. Right now, a symbol that resembles a coin was shining with blue light. This was the symbol of Thief Space. Ace opens the panel with a thought, just like he always does. Equals 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 equals. Thief Space. System detects enough storage space treasures to upgrade Thief Space. Upgrade menu. Storage space treasures, 68. 2 storage space treasures with 1,000 TP. 40 cubic meters extra non-living being Thief Space. Storage space treasure, low to high-level low grades, 63. 10 storage space treasures of low grade with 5,000 TP. Unlocked the living being function of Thief Space and 100 cubic meters of space. Warning, if host unlocked the living begin storing function of the Thief Space, then the non-living begin function would be deleted by the system. Equals 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 equals. He saw the Thief panel with all the information about his things inside the Thief Space. He saw a new upgrading function was added to the panel and read all this. Ace was having a hard time deciding what to do after reading the new function and how will it work. He wanted to open this storage ring as soon as possible, and only by converting the other low-grade storage rings into his own Thief Space would he be able to do it. He was in a dilemma. If he chose to only spend 1,000 TP, then the system would take only those trash storage rings, lowest grade, from inside, and by doing it the system would have to open this ring. After that, he can do whatever he wants with the ring and save the 4,000 TP as well. Ace silently considers the pros and cons of this, and finally comes to a decision. System opened the living being storage function. Thief points, 5,960. He saw his TP drops by half, but he didn't care about them after thinking of the advantages of the living being storage function. Equals 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 equals. The function has been activated. 90 cubic meters also has been added. Thief Space has been upgraded into Living Thief Space. Now the host can store limited living being and any non-living being inside, as long as the space is big enough. Warning, old upgrading plans have been deleted after the host reached the maximum limit of the storage space he can get with his current level of authority. New upgrading plans will be available after the host upgrade his authority. Equals 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 equals. Ace saw the symbol that resembles a coin was not empty in the middle anymore, but there is strange creature type, rune appeared in the middle of the coin. He guesses it was a symbol of a living being, so he didn't pay much attention to it. He wanted to ask some questions about how he would be able to upgrade his authority, but remember, he was still inside the nest of the enemy. Now the ring no longer blocks his chi, since the chi mark of Dulce has been erased by the system. He didn't even have the time to check his new storage space. With a thought, Ace saw the big space inside the ring, and it was clearly much bigger than his old Thief Space. He quickly notices a white stone plate with many rune symbols shining on it. He immediately guesses what it was and quickly takes it out of the storage ring. He places the ring and white formation plate inside his own thief space and quickly leaves to fetch Eva. The escape was almost in his grasp. Dulce was desperately searching for Ace when suddenly she felt like someone had stuck her with a huge hammer in the back of her head. She instantly fell to the floor. She tried to rise back to her feet quickly, but the pain was too severe. Vomited out a puddle of blood. Her bodyguard began to panic, seeing her vomiting blood. They thought that Ace has sneak attack her and quickly starts to manifest chi and ready to protect her with their life. Pain starts to fade after some time, and Dulce finally regains her sense. Her face was ashen after what just happened. She knows exactly just where this immediate pain has come from. A vein popped out from Dulce's temple. That thief has somehow erased my chi mark from storage ring. A tinge of astonishment flashed on Baldy's face as he mutters under his breath. That impossible. He can't do that. And nobody can. Dulce clenched her jaws so tight, her gums were in danger of injury. As she berated him loudly, "You think I'm telling lies? Even I don't understand this. How can someone erase a chi mark from a 4-star storage treasure without killing the owner? Is he from an ancient sect?" The moment that notion surfaces in her mind, she promptly shook her head. If he was really from an ancient sect, he would never have to steal from all these lowly cities and her. Because the wealth of an ancient sect disciple can even rival the first-grade empire. They didn't need to steal. They all were extremely arrogant and proud beings. They even consider coming to these lower lands beneath them, much less stealing. That thief must have something amazing on him that can even open storage space treasures. I must take it no matter the cost. Dulce thought gravely, but there was intense greed in her eyes. Search separately if you see him, fight him to the end. Buy as much time as you can until help arrives. If anyone dares to flee, I'll kill that person myself in the cruelest way. She gave her command and started searching madly. After her chi mark was forcefully erased from the storage ring, Dulce was in a weak state, but she didn't care. All in her mind was Ace's mysterious secret. On the 5th floor in the room where Eva was hiding. It has been 15 minutes since Ace has left, and she was worried sick about him. But she can't go look for him, because even she knows that she'll only get in his way, so she can do nothing but pray for his safety. Suddenly, she hears some commotion outside, but she didn't dare to move towards the window. What will happen if she gets spotted? She was strong, but she can't fight or escape Chi Foundation building realm experts without Ace. The door starts to open slowly, and Eva snaps out her thoughts. She holds the hilt of her sword tightly and was ready to bat-tell if needed. "Eva," a whispering voice sounded in the room. No matter how low the voice was, she would never forget who this voice belongs to. She quickly abandons her hiding spot and runs towards the owner of the voice. Ace was vigilantly looking around the room to see if Eva was still here or she'd changed her hiding stop. He has searched the entire floor, or maybe the whole building, if that was the second case. Before he could use his heavenly sense to search for her, a shadow emerges from the room and moves towards him. She throws herself into his embrace. He could have dodged, but with his soul signature ability, he knew who this was, so he didn't dodge. Ace felt Eva's soft body and her warmth. The air was changed and filled with her fragrance. It was like fresh roses. Ace didn't have time to enjoy all this, because Eva was looking at him gently with tears in her beautiful eyes. "You make me so worried," complained Eva softly. Even with her fake face, she was looking extremely cute. Watching her acting like even in this situation, Ace smiled helplessly, but he felt warm inside and said while holding her, "I'm fine, and I even find a way out of here." "Really? Let's go then. Why are you wasting time taking?" she said with a charming smile. She was enjoying his embrace, though. Ace shook his head helplessly as he beamed at her. "Fine, but you don't have to do anything this time around." Eva became confused after hearing him and was about to ask what he meant by those words, when she felt Ace chi on her hand, and the last thing she remembered after that was darkness. Ace has put her inside his thief space. This was the main reason he decided to unlock this function, so he can safely put Eva inside, and she didn't have to face any danger. But this thief space has its limitation, as well as he can only put a single living humanoid begin inside. If he wants to put another, he has to upgrade thief space to 1,000 cubic meters. He learns it from the system when he asked if he can put Eva and Matthews both inside without any problem. After learning about this, he chose Eva over Matthews because he still didn't trust Matthews. He was still hiding something about his parents from him, and that is why he can't bring himself to trust him competently. Matthews was not like Eva, who trusts him blindly and tells everything. She was his first friend and wanted to face danger with him in this kind of situation, even if it means death. Hence, Ace didn't want to put her in danger just because he was appreciative towards Matthews. After he put Eva into his thief space, he moves towards the third flood to find Matthews. Time was extremely tight. He didn't want Dulce to figure out that he already has the method to open her storage ring and escape from here unnoticed. Little did he know that she already knows about it, because storage rings were made by unique mortal-level space runes formation, and if you sever the connection with the owner forcefully, the owner would fell it just like Dulce. Roland didn't find out about it, because his storage ring was made by a novice rune crafter with just 5 rune symbols who was still learning about rune symbols, and that storage ring was the lowest quality. But Dulce's ring was the highest grade storage ring that you could ever find in the Land of Kingdoms, and made by a 4th-ranked mortal rune crafter. Kingdom and empires have 3 grades. First grade is this highest, and third is the lowest. You could only find rune crafters in the 2nd grade kingdom or higher. Rune creators have 9 mortal ranks. Only the top 5 first grade kingdoms have rank for mortal rune crafters, and every single one of them treated as a nation of treasure. Ace didn't know about this because Land of Cities didn't have the permission to disclose this information to the masses. Only city lords of cities like New Moon City, that was about to reach the rank of a country, have the right to know about it. Matthews was still pretending to search. He enters an empty room when he felt someone was standing behind him. He turns around and saw his Ace and smiled. "Do you succeed?" He could tell that Dulce was inside the inn and was heading in this way after hearing the commotion of guards. "Let's go, we don't have time to waste." Ace enters the room and heads straight towards the window and jumps from it without looking back at Matthews. Matthews didn't delay and gladly comply with Ace's order and jump after him. Outside was wide open and no one was guarding the area. Because Dulce has ordered every single person to search Ace in panic without thinking he would escape from outside like before. Ace saw the bright barrier and take out the formation plate from his thief space. Matthews was astounded after seeing a formation plate with mysterious symbols. After Ace pours his chi into the plate, it starts to shine, and Ace felt a torrent of information about how to use this formation appear in his mind. It was the work of the system. This was his first time seeing this kind of formation and become surprised seeing all that information. This formation can even trap a Chi River Realm expert for an hour. He thought excitedly and finally know the wonders of formations. The formation plate starts to hover in Ace's hand, and suddenly the huge barrier suck inside the plate, and the sky turns cloudy again as the rain starts to fall heavily. Ace and Matthews didn't stay there and quickly escape in the direction of the city gate. Dulce has just reached the 3rd floor of the building when she saw the rain starts to fall outside. Her forehead began to crease further in a frown after thinking about what just happened. "He escape," muttered Dulce in bewildered. Dulce's ferocity was so strong that she was feeling faint. She never thought that such a would happen. She is lost to a petty thief. "I'm not done with you, rascal thief." She vomits blood and faints with anger after roaring. Her anguish howl shocks the entire inn. Dulce opened her drowsy eyes lightly and saw a beautiful ceiling. She first felt extremely comfortable and warmth of the soft bedding and smile unknowingly, but the smile soon disappeared the next moment and was replaced by violent rage. "Where am I?" She yells loudly and quickly stood up. She clearly remembered what has happened before she fainted and her blood begun to surge in anger. "That scoundrel thief escapes from my hands, and he even has the legendary herb that father and second uncle want. When she thought of her father, her face turns white as a ghost. She has made a huge blunder this time around. She was in the Red Mountain City to harvest the blood rose. Her father, the king, only know this was a legendary medicinal herb above golden grade medicinal herb, and it was called the blood rose. They didn't know its medical effect, because it was her uncle who found and told them about it in the first place. The Golden Hammered Kingdom stumbled upon this blood rose 100 years ago with pure luck. At that time, the Red Mountain City name was only Mountain City, and it was only a 3-star city. Because the mountain was not red, it was normal. The mountain turns red 100 years ago in one night. After it turns red, there were quite an uproar and rumors starts to spread all over the lands of cities. The rumors even reached the 1-star cities. Like someone has massacred the entire city and dyed the mountain red with blood. Or there was a rare natural treasure growing here. Even the city lord of that time was alarmed by this sudden occurrence of red color. Even he thinks some kind of treasure was born here, and it was a calamity to a 3-star city. Because if there was really a natural treasure here, his city would be destroyed just to keep its existence a secret. But nobody finds anything no matter how much they searched. Everyone thinks it is just a natural phenomenon, so they gave up. The city lord also has a sigh of relief. The Golden Hammer Kingdom was after all one of the top 10 kingdoms of middle-level lands, and its territory was quite huge, so they didn't pay any heeds to this barren place, much less a 3-star city like a mountain city. But then the second prince of the Golden Hammered Kingdom, who was a blue-grade alchemist of the kingdom, liked to travel around the lands and explore ancient ruins. From one of the ancient ruins, he finds an old red scroll. The scroll was made from a powerful demonic beast hide, and it was an ancient writing of devils. The language of devils was not common here, but some people still learn it after all the devils once ruled the Azure Wind continent. But a hero emerges from the ranks of humans, and he unites the entire human race. He was the first to fight for the rights and freedom of the human race. He claims the entire continent from devils after a bloody war. At least that is what the story was. After the human race claimed this continent, there were many ancient records, runes, and secret realms that devils left behind. That's why it was not impossible to find someone who was well-versed in devil language. After translating the ancient writing, the second prince learns about the process of creating an extremely rare legendary medicine herb. It can only be born after 1,000 years on a special kind of soil that was dyed in the blood of millions of innocent people, called the blood rose. The blood submerges in special soil, gave only birth and mature a single blood rose. It would never be able to give birth to the second. It was a pity that he only finds how to create the herb and its name. No further information about its use was given in that ancient writing. He only knows that this medicinal herb was above golden ranked and called it legendary herb. When that second prince of the Golden Hammered Kingdom learns about the blood rose, he becomes astonished and thinks it was day impossible to fulfill all those conditions. Just finding the special soil was a fool's dream. It was also happened to be the time when the rumors about the Red Mountain started to spread. The rumors reached the second prince's ears since he likes to travel a lot. He first didn't pay much attention to it, and one night suddenly remembered in the ancient scroll it was written the blood rose after birth would hide deep underground, and the red soil would also absorb in the underground to mature it. Only when the time of its maturity came, it would start to emerge from the underground and bloom in 100 years after that. The red soil starts to surface and dyes the land around it in red as well. These were the signs of blood rose blooming. The moment this thought occurred in his mind, he quickly goes straight to his first brother, who was now the current king of the kingdom. They had a very good relationship, and the matter was too big for him to handle alone. The second prince tells everything about the ancient scroll and mountain city rumors. The first prince was no fool, and he also came to the same conjunction as his second brother. They quickly discuss and chose to relay this information to their father, the former king, and the former king was also agitated after learning this and immediately gave the order to investigate that city. It was only a guess, But if there was really a legendary herb on that city, then they can easily exchange it with any ancient sect for a disciple slot, or maybe it can help their peak expert to break through into the next realm, and then might become an empire. There were countless possibilities. The Golden Hammered Kingdom investigates this suspicious city secretly and finds a well-hidden old concealing formation on the mountain peak. It was also because of this concealing formation that no one from the land of cities finds the unmatured blood rose. After the kingdom confirms the existence of the herb, they quickly shut the rumors and start to support the city from the shadows to protect it from other kingdoms. After 100 years of wait, the blood rose was finally going to bloom, and Dulce's second uncle wanted to come in person to harvest it. But the king stopped him because he was afraid that spies of the other top kingdoms might get wind of it, because a big event was coming and everyone was on their guards against each other. If they made any sudden or reckless move, they would alert others instantly. If the blood rose exposed, even the empires would get involved in this, so he doesn't want to risk it. In the end, the king sends his clever daughter Dulce to personally harvest the blood rose. He could have sent any one of his 3 sons, but they were not as bright as his daughter. Dulce received her father's command and finally understand why they were protecting that little city for all these years. Because the secret of the blood rose was only known to the former king, the current king, and the former second prince. Now Dulce knows about it as well. She used her schemer mind and carved the whole plan to safely retrieve the blood rose without alerting anyone. The New Moon City wants to become a country, and she makes them accept the Red Mountain City as subordinate power. This will justify her coming here in the disguise of an examiner. That is the whole reason a city like Red Mountain City was New Moon City's subordinate city. But it does have the capability because all these years to protect the blood rose, the Golden Hammered Kingdom spends quite resources on the City Lord's family, and now they're on par with any of New Moon City's subordinate cities. Dulce chose to come here in the last, but there were still some days before blood rose bloomed completely, and in these days the whole Ace incident transpired. Just a day before she gets news of Ace, she harvested the completely bloomed blood rose and was planning to go back to the New Moon City if she didn't get any news on Ace after a week. But who would have thought that she would find him the very next day? She thought that heaven was rewarding her for her efforts. In the end, it was retribution instead. The thief she was so confident in capturing just a couple of hours ago was now gone. And he even takes all her wealth that she has collected by murd. Ahem, hardship. On top of the most important thing, the blood rose was inside her storage ring, and if her father finds out about it, she would be taking a trip to hell. Badly, Lyuk. She yells as she called her bodyguards. The door of the room opens and Baldy and Lyuk enter in a hurry. How long have I been unconscious? Demand Dulce coldly. 2 hours. Answer Baldy nervously while his head was low. Dulce glare and became even angrier. Where's that thief? Do you capture him or not? Beads of sweat start to form on Baldy's bald head as he answers timidly. And no, princess, we're still searching the city. There is something we find while we're searching for him. The city lord of Riverflower City is missing, and we can't even find his dead body. We assume that he has run away with that rut. Useless trash. Everyone is trash here. Dulce exploded at Baldy with a face warped with anger. At this rate, she might really die from anger. She stomps her feet in anger and anxiety just thinking about the whole incident. Greed has truly blinded her reasoning, and now she was in huge trouble if she didn't find the culprit. To the west of the Red Mountain City, few miles away, was the biggest forest of the land of cities, the Moon Forest. Moon Forest was divided into outer, inner, and core regions. Most mortals and low-level cultivators only travel between the outer region of the Moon Forest, and no one dare to vent any deeper. Because in the inner region, the weakest demonic beast was the peak of the Chi Gates realm, and the core region was the deadliest. Right at the moment, 2 silhouettes were moving in the outer region of the Moon Forest at fast speed on the dirt road between trees. From the direction, they were going towards the inner region of the Moon Forest. It will still take them 1 to 2 months before they'll reach the inner region with their current speed. These 2 silhouettes were obviously Ace and Matthews. After they escaped from Dulce's trap, fleeing the city was child play for both. Ace didn't want to stay in the city any longer because he knew Dulce would definitely go in a search for him like a mad bitch. After all, he had stolen all her treasures, and he was feeling quite good about it. There was not a sliver of guilt in his heart. Matthews was moving right beside Ace, and was astonished to see that he can match evenly with his Chi Foundation realm speed with ease. He was having a hard time accepting it. His parents definitely left some amazing techniques and skills, or even those legendary treasures for him. He thought as a peculiar light flashed past his eyes. Matthews knows better than anyone just how much powerful Ace's parents were when he met them all those years ago. Certainly, they can't leave scraps for their own child, right? But little did he know that they truly didn't leave anything for him and what he was today, all because of that mysterious system. They fled for 6 hours and finally have a sigh of relief. They were finally far away from the city and Dulce. Ace was panting right now because he has killed almost all the elite's guards and even Battel with a Chi Foundation realm expert like Dulce, who was stronger than anyone because of her 6 Chi Gates Foundation. And after he escaped from the city, he was continuously using high Chi for running. Now, he was exhausted. If he didn't have opened the 4 gates of darkness, he would be long run out of Chi. But he was marvel at his Chi recovery rate. That dark void one inside his abdominal was continuously sucking the Chi of heaven and converting it into HD Chi. Ace guessed that he could recover in an hour with this speed of recovery, and thanked the system for this powerful reward. Ace was just deep in thought while catching his breath, and was just about to release Eva from his thief space when he felt a cold sensation from behind and a chill run down his spine. He felt goosebumps rising all over his body, and his soul sense starts to ring like bells. It was a warning that he was in grave danger. He didn't have time to turn around to see the situation. Ace quickly react and try to dodge whatever was coming with a sidestep, but he was too late, and a sharp cold blade pierced through this left shoulder blade. His momentary response saves his heart from getting pierced, but he still gets wounded. Strong Chi that was coming from the cold blade was pumping into his body through the wound. If not for his HD Chi uniqueness, his body might have exploded from the powerful Chi. Ace calms his mind and ignores the throbbing pain coming from the wound and uses the silent step to escape the blade. His HD Chi was still fighting with the foreign Chi inside his body. To Ace's astonishment, the next moment, the dark void began to suck the foreign Chi, and the Chi turns into HD Chi. This was another ability of the dark void that he didn't know, and wonder if this mysterious void has more uses. Ace didn't have time to reflect over dark void, because he heard an unexpected voice when he escapes the blade and turns around. He knew who this voice belongs to the moment he heard it. When Ace turns around, he saw Matthews was holding a long sword with his blood was dripping on the ground from its blade. He saw Matthews was looking at him in shock and dread. HH, how did you escape the outburst of the Chi Foundation realm manifestation Chi? And know a body of Chi gates, Cultivator can't hold against it. Matthews said while shuddering as he looked at Ace with horror, as if he was seeing a ghost. Ace's heart turns cold the moment he saw Matthews was holding the weapon, and when he heard Matthews' words. He finally understands that he has just escaped certain death because of the HD Chi and Dark Void. If even one of them were missing, he would be a cold corpse right now. Actually, even if he didn't have any of them, he would still be able to expel the Chi with Heavenly Chi. It was just that he didn't encounter and fight with the Chi Foundation realm expert, so his knowledge was deficient. Why did you sneak attack me? I thought you were with me. Ace asked coldly. Rage was bubbling up inside him. You want to know just why this old guy did this? He didn't think that Matthews would have harbored ill intention towards him, so his guard was down, and he didn't use his full soul sense on him either that time because of the exhaustion. But the moment Matthews saw the opening, he attacked with a sure kill move. Matthews knows his cover was blown, and he loses his only chance to strike a fatal blow. He calmed his wildly beating heart and said with a deep sigh, When I first saw your portrait, I was quite shocked back then, and finally realized that you were still in the city all these years. At that time, I want to genuinely find you and tell you about your parents. I want to repay the graciousness for saving my life. However, I can't find you just like last time, and think this time you really left the city to save your life. I blame myself for my incompetence. But after 2 days that vixen comes and start a massacre, she killed my whole family. My wife, children, grandchildren. Killing intent starts to emit from Matthew's eyes as he mentions his family. I wanted to kill that whore entire family to avenge my family. But what can a pawn like me do? We all lived in the land of cities, the lowest level lands, and all the upper level lands think of us as mere slaves. They didn't even allow us to possess proper resources to become powerful. Our destiny was in their hands the moment we were born here. I lose all the hope and become an empty husk until I saw you doing all those miraculous things. I saw hope to avenge my family. You even opened a storage ring and broke a legend. Then it comes to my mind that it was because of you that all my family was dead, and because of you my city has become rubble. He stared venomously at Ace. So, I decided to kill you and take your secret for myself. But you were just too bizarre, and I was uncertain of success. I waited for the perfect moment and finally find an opening a moment ago when you were exhausted. But who could have thought that even my sneak attack wasn't able to kill you? Matthews said with frustration in his voice. Matthews was very confident in his skills, but Ace's counter it, and now he has to fight him head-on. But he was not discouraged like an old fox because he thought that Ace was still fighting with his chi that he released with his attack and was in a weak state. And after his big and hateful speech, he would definitely hesitate to attack him. After listening to Matthew's reason Ace sighed. He thinks if he was in Matthew's position, he would definitely hate the person who was responsible for his misery. But Ace didn't feel any grief at all for Matthew's soul. What he felt was greed, envy, desire. These kinds of emotions that he felt from Dulce, Grace, Asher. He wants my secret just like others, but his acting skill is top-notch though. If I didn't have my soul sense, even I would have believed him. Ace mocked. If what Matthew says was all true, he would have let him go. But he has doubts about him from the start when he gave him incomplete information about his parents, and after he senses his true feeling and heard his opposite words, he concludes, this guy is an old fox through, and far more dangerous than that vixen. Ace said as he sighs deeply. It seems like I was truly naive. 2 black swords emerge in his hands, and his chi pours in the swords. The dark chi starts to leak from the pitch-black blades like haze. Matthews grimaces deeply as he saw Ace takes out his weapons, and for some reason, he felt extreme dread from those 2 swords from the bottom of his heart. He didn't act like I think he would. Think Matthews as he holds his sword hilt tightly. The truth was when he saw Ace fell in despair and blame himself when Dulce tells him about the destruction of the city. At that time, Ace was vulnerable, and if Dulce takes that chance to strike, she would have succeeded in capturing him, but she decided to toy with him like her other victims, and she pays the price in end for her vanity. Matthews scoffs at her idiocy in his head that time. That's why Matthews takes his time to give a sorrowful speech first. He wanted to attack him mentally to make Ace hesitate to attack him, and that would be his chance to take him down. He was not like Dulce and the whole other level of schemer from her. He was confident in his acting skills and the ability to control his emotions, but this time around his skills seemed to be failed. He was observing him from a moment he laid his eyes on him, and after his analysis, he concluded that Ace was inexperienced and naive. And he has never been wrong before in his analysis of someone. But Ace has somehow gained the ability to remain calm in the face of desperate situations after the Dulce incident. He was a completely different person, not like before when he loses his calm easily. Little did he know that Ace has soul sense, and he can feel his inner self emotions. Matthews can hide his emotion on the surface, but he can't do that with his soul because he wasn't a soul cultivator. Now Ace was calmer because he already touched the law of despair once, and his mentality has undergone a drastic change. And Matthews was like an open book when Ace solely focused on him. Matthews still wanted to try something else to make his chance of winning higher, but he saw Ace has vanished. There was still dark, and because of the clouds, it was as dark as it could be. Cultivation can vaguely see in darkness when they reach the Chi Foundation realm, and their sense become much sharper than any mortal. They can even hold their breath underwater for 10 hours straight. That's why Matthews can move around freely, but he misses the details about Ace can also move freely and much better than him in dark. Ace never has proper education, much less on cultivation, and he also didn't know about the details of what can a human do in specific after he cultivates. He only knows how to read and write because of his grandparents' teaching. Matthews panicked and said as he raises his hands in surrender, "We didn't need to fight. I admit my mistake." He didn't want to fight an opponent that he can't even see or sense. And Ace can sneak up on him without even him noticing before. So he decided to wait and find another opportunity. Ace was in his stealth and heard Matthew's words, but he didn't stop. Empty words. He despises. He didn't want to expose himself to his old fox anymore after seeing his backstabbing and scheming nature. He was thanking his decision to keeping Eva inside the thief space until now and didn't show that old fox any more of his secrets. Otherwise, Matthews would have become more alert and hide like venom snakes. When he got the chance, he would strike the moment when he was in a difficult situation and Eva would be in danger as well because of his idiocy and naivety. But Ace didn't know Matthews showed his true colors exactly. Because of Eva, he didn't saw him taking that girl with him, and in his mind, Ace has abandoned her. Moreover, he was poisoned, and Ace didn't give him an antidote. That's why he thought Ace wanted to kill him as well. However, that was not the case at all. It was just that Ace has forgotten about the poison. If Matthews asked him, Ace would have given him right at that moment. It is just that his motives were not pure from the start, and that poison only made those desires intense. But now Ace was very appreciative towards Matthews for showing his true colors so soon and gave him a lesson to never trust anyone completely. Besides, he would never let an incident like Riverflower City happen again as long as he lives. Ace was moving with silent steps as he saw Matthews raise his hand, but didn't let his sword go. His eyes turned sharp as he brandishes the long swords and slashed towards Matthews' sword-holding hand. Matthews felt a cold and sharp sensation coming from his back and quickly waved his sword backward vertically. Chikacha! Matthews did manage to connect the attack with Ace's sword, but the moment that black blade touched his sword, the sword cut in half like butter and landed on his chest. A deep cut appeared and blood gushes out from it. Matthews didn't even know what happened and why his 3-star sword would cut in half like it was made of paper. Dulce gave him this sword to capture Ace, and he knows it was really a 3-star weapon. But now it was cut in half easily, and he starts to doubt that Dulce has played him. Ace didn't stop here because the cut was not deep enough to take Matthews' life and again decided to go in stealth. After killing so many elite guards sneakily in the end, Ace has finally found his fighting style. His skills were made for fighting in dark and silently, not in a frontal assault. As long as the opponent is not stronger than him by a huge gap, he could easily kill them sneakily. Matthews has a taste of Ace's newfound understanding of his skills and technique. He felt horrified after being cut by his chi because he felt Ace chi was not normal at all. It was cold, but at the same time, it gives him a feeling of emptiness like he was alone in a dark place with no sliver of light. Matthews somehow suppressed Ace's chi that was making him numb. He was, after all, a Chi Foundation expert. But just he was about to say something to get himself out of this situation, a chill run down his spine because a black blade was coming towards his neck like a grim Riper scythe. Ace didn't want to drag this fight because his HD Chi was limited and he was still exhausted, so he decided to end Matthews. In his view, Matthews was extremely weak for a Chi Foundation realm expert, or he was just too powerful for a Chi Gates realm practitioner. "Stop. I know very important information about your parents," shouts Matthews in horror. This was his final trump card for getting out of this situation. Now he finally understands just how much he underestimated this little thief. The moment he said those words, he felt a cold, sharp object was touching his throat. It was a black blade that emitting a black aura from its sharp edge. If he was a second late in uttering, his head would be flying right now. He was drenched in sweat, and he gulps nervously. He nearly dies. Now he understands what it means by power can overcome any scheme. Ace was looking at Matthews in eyes coldly while his sword was still on Matthews' throat. "Tell me everything. If you even speak a single lie, you're dead," he said coldly. He also wanted to know the complete truth about his parents and decided to hear Matthews out. If Matthews tells him everything truthfully, he didn't mind sparing him. He wasn't a cold murderer in the end. If not for Matthews' vile character, Ace would have never brought himself to kill Matthews in the first place. "I'll speak the truth, just don't kill me," said Matthews with dread in his voice. He could tell Ace was dead serious. Ace only stared at Matthews deeply and didn't say anything like he was telling him, "You better be." He didn't retract his sword from his throat, either. Matthews could only sigh helplessly after seeing Ace was not reacting to him, and finally decided to tell him everything it was after all his life that was hanging on a thread right now. "The things I told you before were true, but I didn't tell you that when your father used his power to send me away before vanishing, I heard your mother yell that time." She was clearly referring to her enemies, said Matthews slowly. He was still looking at Ace to see his reaction, but to his dismay, Ace didn't even flinch after hearing his word. Matthews only felt the blade was starting to press in his throat, and because of that black aura, his skin starts to cut like jelly and blood starts to flow. He didn't dare to play riddle anymore and said quickly, "I heard her shouting 'White Crown' before I was sent far away from that place. I swear I'm telling you the truth. As for what I have done, it was because I was awed by them after seeing their prowess and wanted to possess that kind of power myself. I just want to be someone strong to protect my family. That's the whole reason I wanted your secret. But I was wrong. Greed truly blinds me. Before he could finish his words, something passes through his throat with lightning speed, and he didn't even feel what happened. The last thing he saw before his view gets dark was Ace's serene face. Matthews' head was rolling in the soil with his eyes wide open in disbelief, horror, surprise,